Hello, everybody, and thank you for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes. I am Caleb.
And I'm Blake. We have an awesome show for you today. We'll be covering the news over the last few days, as well as Tuesday's Impact and Wednesday's NXT and Dynamite, as well as the Twitter polls and our least and most favorite bits from the shows over the last few days.
Yes, and before we get into that, remember if you are new to Walking the Ropes or you have been listening and are enjoying what we do, you can find everything Walking the Ropes through our link tree, which is posted in the descriptions and bios of all of our stuff, links to our social medias, ways to support us, and literally every podcasting platform that we are available on. But with that being said, yeah, we'll get right into the show here. Three decent shows.
For sure.
I don't think there was any overall like really low points from any of them. Obviously, we have our worst of the nights after the fact, but
It was hard to fish for worst of the nights, but some of the shows I felt like they could have done more.
there was definitely a sense of some of the shows could have done more, but yeah, the worst of the night, I definitely had to sit on a few of them and just be like, what was really like the worst of this night?
Yeah, exactly. And so like some of my worsts are just like nitpicky little things.
Oh,
Like
same, 100%. But yeah, but before we get into any results, as normal, we have our news. One of the very first things I'd like to bring up, it kind of relates a little with results, but I want to get it out of the way just in case anybody has seen it and hasn't seen the clarification in that. We were just talking about it prior to going live. After NXT last night, there was reports circulating about Kyle O'Reilly. There was a bump that was taken, which we will cover in the results. And fans, it was actually the fans in attendance started reporting that it seemed that he was having a seizure, which for those that don't know, he is a type 1 diabetic, so like it's not I shouldn't say it's not uncommon
it's not
necessarily,
unheard of.
but it's not unheard of. And people started posting about it when in reality it was just him selling the spot. I know I loaded up my Twitter because I watch NXT afterwards, and so I avoided Twitter minus us posting the polls up until after NXT, and I was just seeing these, hope Kyle is okay, wishing you all the best, Kyle, blah blah blah, and I'm sitting here going like, well, yeah, he took a pretty good bump, but what the fuck's going on? And then
It
come to
looked pretty
find
protected, the way they actually did it and everything. Like
yeah, like it was a brutal bump. It definitely
yeah,
like he's definitely
but the way
feeling
it
it, but
happened, we've seen that move in particular taken worse.
exactly. And
So
so I was really confused, and then come to find out that fans were speculating all this shit, and but from the reports as of really late last night, early this morning, he was just in fact selling. There was also people saying stuff to the extent of like the medics had to wake him up, that he was actually knocked out in that, and from what I was reading, once again, he just was really selling um the
similar to the way
move.
Riddle did on Raw with the "Where am I? What's going on?"
Yeah,
Like
exactly. I mean, some of these guys are really able to sell, and I mean, we were talking about it just before the podcast. Something like that. I mean, it was a big thing. In reality, if you were to take that into, because you've always got to look at it. I mean, we're uh kind of in an outside perspective a lot of the time. Or I guess we're an inside perspective,
yeah,
knowing pro wrestling, how they are protecting each other, even on these bumps and that. Take it from an outside perspective and look at it as a real fight. If you were to legitimately take something like that and it wasn't a protected bump, yeah, you'd be fucking out and you'd be stretchered out.
absolutely.
And so him selling that bump, I mean, he did it exactly how it should have been. I mean, you made the comment of, being if you were a wrestler, that character, that selling, everything stays on until you're behind the curtain.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I know that was a big thing. I know I was still seeing posts this morning on Twitter of people being like, is there any update on Kyle? And it was like, for fuck's sakes. Like,
Yeah, to the point where I think even WWE had to go out of their way to confirm it wasn't a real seizure.
did
Like,
they?
I think so. I'm not 100% certain on that, but
I
I can
believe they
check quickly.
I believe they post the injury reports on Thursdays for
Yeah,
NXT, so I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, it's going to come out that, because of what happened, he was stretchered. Obviously, according to the injury report, he will be injured. And I think that will really clear it up for everybody. But
yeah. I have the thing from Sportskeeda here.
yeah, I know there was a lot of the websites and a lot of the wrestling journalists that were clearing it up.
So Ryan Satin
Yep.
tweeted out saying, "From what I've been told, Kyle O'Reilly did not suffer a real seizure from NXT or after NXT tonight, and did not suffer a medical episode. According to WWE sources, it was all just part of storyline. Happy to hear he's okay." So
Yeah.
not WWE themselves, but officials within WWE have had to go out of their way to make it official.
Yeah, he was the first one that I saw talking about the situation not being what was being broadcasted. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to get that one out of the way there.
For sure, yeah. No, that needs to be clarified for anybody who hasn't seen the clarification.
Exactly. What you got? What you got?
Um JR comments on his slip up on AEW, just going, "Yep, heat of battle, live TV. It's my bad." We will obviously talk about the
The aforementioned
moment.
slip up. Yeah, I have it in my
So
notes
do
for the
I.
show. Good old JR. Good old
But
JR.
we talked about it without saying what it is. It makes total sense why it happened.
Yeah, but when we get around to it, we'll segue for 2-3 minutes about our
Yeah.
discussion last night. We had to call after the events of Dynamite, which
Ugh.
yeah, we will talk about once we get around to the Dynamite results and
Yeah,
shit. Uh
exactly. Stay tuned.
yeah. What else you got? You got more there?
Yeah. So Chris Jericho names the worst wrestler ever. Do you have any guesses?
I
But by
saw the
looking, you
article.
saw
I saw the fucking article.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I think somewhere in the comment he said Vince would even fuck up a schoolboy, or did fuck
So
up a schoolboy.
he was talking with Eugene on his podcast,
On
and
Talk is Jericho.
yeah, on
Yeah.
Talk is Jericho. And basically Eugene was talking about how he got to beat Vince McMahon with a schoolboy. And Chris Jericho goes, "Man, Vince McMahon is the worst wrestler ever. He probably even messed up that schoolboy, didn't he?"
Yeah.
Like,
And I know within that interview Eugene had talked about like wanting to turn heel and
yeah. He'd even talk about who was responsible for getting him a job.
yeah, and as
Uh,
well as getting him fired.
yes.
They really
So it was a
covered
really
all of
good
it.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, Talk is Jericho is really good. I enjoy what I listen. I used to listen like religiously to it, and I
Right.
haven't as of the last few years. But
I would love to just have a 5-minute interview with Chris Jericho. That'd be so cool.
oh, I know. I'm still so pissed off. When we were in college, we had the opportunity. Fozzy was literally like a a minute and a half walk
Yeah.
from where we were going to school. They were gonna be a minute and a half away, and we fucking had a class that night, and just
I'm amazed like Smash didn't somehow get a booking for him though while he was in London.
I am ridiculously surprised. Yeah.
They clearly it just didn't work out. They definitely tried,
Oh, there there's
but
there's no way they did not attempt to have Chris Jericho do
there was a
something.
phone call. It's just like, all right, how much?
That much? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I can't do that. All right.
Oh,
Good talking to
jeez.
you, Chris.
Yeah. My next note here, I'm sure just about everybody's seen it at this point because it's literally plastered everywhere, which I think people are going a little overboard with it. But Tony Khan had an interview and made a comment. We previously talked about Cody Rhodes talking about it.
Nobody
Um,
took it really this seriously.
yeah, but the second Tony Khan opens his mouth, it's like, oh shit. Tony Khan has said he is completely open to a WWE crossover. He even in the like this is where I'm seeing on all the headlines. He begged them to come to Jacksonville, which I mean
Yeah.
was obviously in a sense like I can understand him. Like within the interview, he's like come to Jacksonville, like I'm begging you. Which I've even seen a few articles being like Tony Khan's that fucking needy, and I'm like, I mean, we don't need to sit on this for long. We literally had like a 20-minute discussion of this on the last podcast. But business wise, I do not blame Tony Khan one bit. Tony Khan sees the dollar signs and it's like, why the fuck wouldn't I?
And I mean, for those who don't also know, Tony Khan's pockets are deeper than Vince's.
Like a fuck, like billions of dollars deeper. Billions
Like,
with a B.
yeah, I don't want to like try to make Vince feel bad or anything, but if he wants to do the battle of the billionaires, it shouldn't have been Trump. It should have been Khan.
Well, exactly. Like, it's just it's smart business.
It
And the
is.
thing
It is.
is I honestly, I said it on the last one, I say it here. I see it happening. It's just a matter of when.
And for how long? Because I don't see it lasting very long either, knowing how WWE is.
Oh, it'll be a 2-3 week build to a mega show. They're going to make millions from it. I wouldn't doubt it if they do a whole weekend extravaganza like a WrestleMania or something. I bet you they could even sell out a fucking. I bet you they could book a stadium like
For
mid
sure.
August, sell the fucking thing out, and put on this
Well, I
mega
wouldn't be
show.
surprised,
And
honestly, Wembley, the biggest stadium, do it again.
the
It's obviously in
only
the UK, but
oh yeah, the only reason I do not see that fully because the thing is in a sense it's really smart. I mean, the UK shows always sell out because there's such a base over there and they're deprived of it. Similar to up here in Canada. I mean, the second WWE is like here's a big show, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Those
or even the
tickets,
Heat Wave tour rolls around.
yeah, most of the time a lot of those shows are packed. But like
At least the lower bowl is. Like,
yeah, but like specifically like Survivor Series when they came a few years back, SummerSlam when they came, what was that, 2 years back? I mean, you were at the
yeah.
SmackDown of that weekend,
Yeah.
but
That was so fun.
the takeover beforehand, and then the main pay-per-view being, like I said, Survivor Series and SummerSlam. Both weekends I was trying to get tickets to both, and I literally got booted off of Ticketmaster on pre-release, on or like pre-sale, I guess, on main sale. Like the fucking tickets were the hardest things to get. They were sold out within the day.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah, well, I mean,
so
and the really funny thing is to hear that and then the way SmackDown was that night. Like, I was supposed to be up in the nosebleeds, and I ended up hard camera side to the point where you said you even saw me.
yeah, which was
Like,
really neat. I always enjoy
yeah,
shit like that.
like, but I was supposed to not even be visible. I was supposed to be sitting on the side of the hard camera, like
Yeah.
watching from hard camera view, which would be cool because that's basically like watching from TV. But you
That's where
get
I've
all the
sat
action
for
fed to you.
That's where I've sat for both of my TVs that I went to in '07 and '08. I was in the
Yeah,
lower bowl on hard camera side.
right.
Um, which
Which is really cool, honestly.
I mean, being on the opposite side is nice because then you have the opportunity to be on more so than being, on the other side. But like you said, you get fed everything on that's on hard camera side because that's where the
Yeah,
hard camera is. So there's benefits to both sides. But anyways,
really, yeah. I would prefer to sit like especially if somebody's cutting a promo, I want to see their intensity. So I just be like,
yeah,
if they
if I'm
please.
gonna get like front row seats, like I'm getting it on the side of hard cam
Yeah,
because
because I don't
then
care if people will see me.
oh,
Like,
that's just it. I'm there to enjoy the action, and they always fucking talk that way. Like,
yeah, exactly.
so,
I want to feel like he's talking to me.
excuse me. But yeah, going back to the crossover and stuff like that, the only reason I wouldn't fully see Wembley, even though ticket sales it would make sense, and they'd still get a lot of buys. It's the time difference for the actual
Yes,
airing of the pay-per-view. That's
for sure.
why WWE hasn't done like a SummerSlam or something over there since the 90s. The last pay-per-view they really did was the Takeover, which aired at I don't even know what time in the morning. I can remember waking up and going, "Oh yeah, like I got a pay-per-view on at like 10 a.m. That's okay, sure." And
Yeah,
well, I
for
mean,
sure. It's a bit odd.
NXT UK airs at like 11 a.m. our time, I think.
Oh, really?
So, well, I've watched the takeover, the UK takeovers, and they start at like 10, 11 in the morning, and I'm always so weirded out sitting there watching
It's
a
like
live
morning
pay-per-view.
cartoons.
Oh my god. I don't think they do those anymore, do they?
They're still cartoons for sure. They're still children. So,
Okay. Anyways, this isn't a Saturday morning cartoon podcast. This is pro wrestling podcast, but no,
I mean,
I think
I'm sure there's wrestlers in Sunday morning cartoons and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah. Oh, guaranteed. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's smart business on both parts. I said
Yes.
it on the last one. I just
Like,
you
they
think if
both
Vince
got deep
saw
pockets. Make
exactly
them deeper.
and you think if Vince saw the dollar signs, like there it'd be a no-brainer.
I just don't think he wants other people to get dollar signs.
And that's one of the biggest issues. I mean, that's we talked about it on the last cast, so we won't stick on it, but like WCW. Like if they would have just done this mega show with WCW once or twice in the entire process of it all, like
We'd have three big wrestling. I guess if we count Impact, four big
like
wrestling promotions right now.
we'd have tons of wrestling. Like I mean we even do right now, but like
I mean, even New Japan would have probably started an American brand earlier
earlier
if
because they wouldn't have been scared of the possibility of being run out of the market.
yeah,
Um but I mean that's even like going back to TNA back in 07, 08, 09. Like
the balls they had to try to compete against WWE.
exactly, and the thing is sure Impact's audience wasn't huge, but they were still rolling in 1.5 million viewers at that point, I would assume. And
I'd
they
say
had
so.
big names. Sure, they were in a studio at Universal, but it still
But you could buy
held.
season tickets as a fan, which is kind of cool.
I always liked that.
Like,
But it's just WWE could have done a nice show, like a 2 week build up and a good show with them, and made more money than they probably would off of whatever their, at that point it would have been fucking I don't even know, One Night Stand or some shit like that pay-per-view. Like they could
I
have
think they
thrown
still
that in
run one
there.
night stand every once in a while.
It's Extreme Rules now. That's what Extreme
Oh,
Rules is now, yeah.
I was thinking of one night only for Impact.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when they were doing that. That was so weird.
Yeah.
Uh
One night only, Matt and Jeff Hardy versus Motor City Machine Guns. I'm like, I think we've seen that before.
my favorite is the fact that those shows would completely kill storylines at that point. Like you'd have guys that have been feuding on TV for like 3 months, suddenly they're best friends and they're teaming together in a match, but they're like, it's not with the storylines. And it's like, where the fuck did kayfabe go? Yeah, yeah. Two big middle fingers to the fans.
That's exactly what they did. That's all you can say right there is what those shows were.
Oh, like there
If
was
they
some
kept
great
within
shit.
kayfabe,
Oh yeah, there
yeah.
was some great shit on them too. Like I watched a handful of them, but it was just like I said, like there was at one point I kind of watched Impact for about a month or so. Um and I was kind of getting back in tune with the storylines, getting to know people again, and then they were like this Saturday one night only. And I was like, "Oh fuck, like sure I'll watch it." And I watched it, and literally people that they were building up this big feud for teamed together. There was no animosity or anything between them. They were just there, they were together. The match happened, they hugged afterwards, and I was like, um what am I missing? And then I went online to search up these one night onlys, and they're like, yeah, like it doesn't continue storylines, it doesn't do any of this. And I'm like, I can fucking tell.
Yeah, I think they still do it, but I'm not 100% sure
They haven't
in a
since
while.
Probably 2018 would have been one of the last ones. Because now they're
Yeah.
back to their regular pay-per-view schedules and shit too.
Yeah,
Um,
they switched up their names on a bunch of their pay-per-views for a while.
oh, a ton.
Like,
But
yeah, now they're back. I think they just announced that Sacrifice is actually.
I saw something about that, yeah, but I couldn't
And I was
find
like,
any
but
official
isn't
thing.
Rebellion coming up?
Hey, we
Like,
got like 2 weeks in between Hard to Kill and No Surrender, so
we got 1 week.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Impact really just this like pay-per-view.
But the nice part is though, as I found out, it like something like No Surrender that just happened. On the Fight app, it only cost $12,
Right, like
which
they're
is a
not like your
really nice
WWE pay-per-views.
change. Yeah, that's literally one of the only reasons I have the network is I'd rather pay the $9.99 a month. Well, it's not even $9.99 anymore. It's fucking more than that. But it's still cheaper than the $80 they charge for a
Isn't there a
pay-per-view.
$9.99 bracket though?
Not here in Canada. For the
Oh.
States, I'm not. Yeah, here in Canada, it's 15 a month.
Okay, so they always say only on the free network. You obviously get that stuff too, right? Like they don't just block that stuff from the people who are paying.
Oh, I get all
I,
that shit.
I was gonna say, because like whenever Cole's like only from the free version, I'm like, so does that imply that people who are paying for it don't get it?
No,
Like,
no, I get that stuff as well, but I'd still rather pay 15 a month and whatever that comes out to in a year for the pay-per-views. There are a few series that I watch. I like watching the documentaries and shit. But
yeah,
even if I were to literally watch like the one pay-per-view and then 2 or 3 shows or something a month, I'd still pay that every month versus like WrestleMania last year, both nights I had because um like I didn't have cable at the time. I running through the network. My parents actually through their cable subscription have the network, and then I pay them for it because that's the
right.
only way in Canada, because fuck us. um I had them check the pay-per-view cost of Mania both nights, and it was $80 a night last year.
It's $160 for the two
Yep.
nights.
Yeah, if you were to want to watch both nights of WrestleMania, at least in Canada last year without the network.
But that's like more expensive than getting a ticket to a half decent wrestling show.
Um, that's a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
That tallies probably just around what I've spent to every Smash show we've been to for my tickets alone. We get front row seat tickets to Smash for like $30, and they're great shows.
Yeah, and we usually book them like as soon as we can too. Man, I can't wait for that.
Oh my god, I
Let's
know.
not talk about Smash.
I know, makes me upset. But I couldn't believe that last year. So, and I bet you this year will be the exact same. So,
Oh,
I
probably.
look forward to our WrestleMania shows though, and if all works out, hopefully here's a little thing for everybody. Hopefully we'll be doing a live watch along as
Hopefully, yeah.
well for Mania this year. But yeah,
All
anyways,
things working out.
yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What else you got for news?
Ric Flair names the top 3 female performers. The number one, obviously, is Charlotte. He goes out to say, I've said that on TV. She's the greatest female wrestler in the world. Fine. Then he
Sure.
goes, Sasha Banks, all the credit in the world to her. She's a working fool. And then in terms of technical skills, Asuka's right there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, it interests me that I mean I know the exposure on all of it, but somebody like a Becky Lynch wasn't on that initial list of Flair. Um,
Yeah.
cause I mean, not to take away from the other three that he mentioned, because I mean, like, the thing is Asuka. If you've only watched her WWE stuff, you might not. You might put her there. You might not put her there. If you go and watch her stuff before, you definitely put her there.
Yes. And that's
Um,
definitely where Rick's talking from.
like Charlotte is very very good. Sadly, that's just one of those aspects of overexposed. Like even when she's not in a title picture, I feel like she was off TV for a long time and that
But I
recently. I
think
get
that was
that.
just because she was hurt. Or no, just got married or engaged to Andrade.
She got engaged and I think she had a surgery of some kind
Yeah, so
to
she took
fix
some
something.
personal time off,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh my god, that makes me laugh. I I just something that I watched the other day that I haven't watched in a while, which I'll mention in a second. But like mentioning her, and like my only issue is she's always there, I find. And
Right.
so it's like and then someone like Sasha's in ring wise really really good, but I'm surprised somebody like a Becky Lynch isn't there because
Yeah.
Becky Becky was there. Becky was a workhorse. Her promos were solid. Her in-ring work was solid. Even when she was the champion, the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Um,
so.
Even when she was that, I never felt like she was overexposed. I felt
No,
like she was
she
always there when she needed to be, and when she didn't need to be, she wasn't. So
yeah.
I'm surprised somebody like a Flair wouldn't put that somewhere in there too.
And maybe he's just because she's been off TV for so long, she just slipped his mind, but like
Yeah, that's very
yeah,
fair. I'm just like if I were to rank some of like the best female wrestlers WWE
Bliss would be
wise,
on there.
like it's hard to miss somebody like Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Like Bliss too, but like Becky big time. Um the
Like those two really know how to draw an audience.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's sad that Alexa's career has been kind of plagued by injuries and shit like that cuz she's a really really good athlete and performer.
And a lot of people don't know that because they just see her as this cheerleader who became a wrestler.
Exactly. Yeah. But really quickly here, what made me laugh there, the time off, I was just recently rewatching CM Punk's interview from Starcast before All Out, and he was told about WWE allowing time off now, which is one of the big reasons he had quit and all that. And just you mentioning Charlotte taking personal time off just made me laugh because in that interview he makes a comment of like, "Yeah, I'll resign and then I'll take time off." Just like sign the contract and look at them and be like, "Hey, I need some time off."
Look at AJ's pregnant, so
Yeah,
and then she's not even pregnant like a year later. Did she have her baby? Oh, well, I said we were trying to get pregnant.
yeah. Come on, listen up, guys. Um, fuck. Yeah. Yep. Another bit of news here. NXT is reportedly getting another show. The name that's out there right now is NXT Evolve, which is due to the fact of WWE purchasing Evolve.
Right.
Um, Apparently Jeremy Borash, as well as the former owner of Evolve, Gabe Sapolsky,
Okay.
they are both involved with it. The pilot has apparently been shot inside of a warehouse that WWE was using.
Well, there
So
sounds like a lot of faith if it's in a warehouse.
well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, you got the Capitol Wrestling Center, like,
I was gonna say you
why?
probably say Capital Wrestling Center, or if they really wanted to, Tropicana Field. Like
No, apparently it was in a. The report was that it was in a warehouse.
it's in WWE's warehouse where they just have a ring set up in the corner.
There you guys go. Have fun.
You go, good luck, Evolve.
Fuck. But yeah, so apparently that's a thing. I don't have
I
any
did,
more on
yeah.
it. Um,
So it's
yeah.
like I really am interested if that's gonna be like another wrestling show or if it's gonna just be like, hey, this is NXT Evolve, and it's just gonna be like showing off the new superstars training in the PC.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I actually believe it was shot in the warehouse WWE is currently using as their makeshift performance center.
Because the PC is somewhere not being used.
It's the Capitol Wrestling Center.
Is it? Okay, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, from
I
what I
like
read,
from
they're using a warehouse as a makeshift performance center at the
okay.
moment.
Yeah, because like from when they're outside, I can't quite tell if it's the performance
Yeah,
center or not. So I've always just been like, maybe there's just something called the Capitol Wrestling Center, and I've never looked it up. So
yeah. It's from my knowledge, that's where they are now. They might be potentially in the partially in the warehouse part of it, which
yeah, like in a different area other than where we've traditionally seen the PC.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure from what I have seen, especially with like some of the backstage shots just recently from Vengeance Day and that, I want to say they're basically exactly where they were for um like where WWE had set up for the pandemic series of episodes.
Mania and whatnot.
Just they revamped it all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they hid the like performance center logo with the um I guess you could call it Thunderdome boards.
Yeah, yeah, they cleaned it all up a lot. So
But yeah, I had no idea what the Capitol Wrestling Center really was. So.
yeah, yeah, it's at least it's within the performance center somewhere. I mean that building is huge.
I mean, yeah,
So,
WWE probably owns many buildings in many states with many wrestlers in them.
oh, exactly. Exactly. Um what else you got for news?
An interesting one that we had kind of talked about was, or we had thought about was, if Edge knew about Christian's return to the Rumble.
Yes, yeah.
And he had recently, I can't remember exactly where he was talking about this, but he had actually found mentioned that
I believe it was
uh,
Corey Graves after the
was it
bell.
okay. Uh, and they were talking about Christian coming back, and he goes, he got cleared a couple months ago. I was among only a few people who were privy to that. We didn't know for sure if he was going to be in the Rumble until the Friday
The
before. I was
Friday.
like, yeah.
Fuck. Can you
He's
imagine that getting cleared after thinking you'd never wrestle again and then finding out 2 days before, like, hey, you're in the Rumble.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And the best part was, Edge was driving to Christian's place to stay with him for the weekend, while they found out all this was going to happen. They looked at each other and said, we're both going to do this together again. We've had this fairy tale friendship. We met in 6th grade. We grew up together saying we're going to do this. And no matter what we've done separately, it's always circled back to the two of us together, just like it did at the Rumble,
Yeah. Yeah,
which is really, really cool. Like,
it's neat. I mean, I'm still so happy that Christian was cleared. I mean, even if he doesn't ever wrestle another match beyond the Rumble there, like it was just cool.
I'm amazed WWE didn't do the camera zoom out on their hug.
Oh my
Like,
god. Best friends.
give the people what they want.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, I had seen that snippet of
Yeah.
the interview there. That's really cool. Um an interesting little note here that I have, and then this is the end of my news and
Yeah,
that.
that was my last news point.
Okay, so we'll be getting into results here really soon. Fox, their WWE Twitter account, I believe it's WWE on Fox or whatever, got a lot of heat yesterday. They posted, now here's the thing. I partially get it, but at the same time, I think it was blown up a lot. I might get a lot of heat for that. But they posted, it's been done a million times where it's like the build your team for $15 and then they have like the
Yeah,
$1, $2, and it was of the women roster.
I saw this. Yeah.
And there was a lot of shit that came out about it, and Natalia posted this big statement because like she was on the $1 tier, and just the shit that started hitting the fan from it. And I'm sitting here like, I don't like, yes, I understand like in a sense where they're coming from, because there were some really talented people, like even though it was like one of those, it's just a fantasy jokey thing, blah blah blah. Like I can understand where a bit of it's from, like somebody like Natalia being there
Yeah.
for as long as she has been, blah blah blah, being placed as low as she was. But I'm like, these things are posted all the time. There was a men's one back a matter of a few months ago. Nobody batted an eye.
Well,
Not
it's
a fucking
because,
person batted an eye.
and I hate to say it, it's because people will always look for a reason to get upset, and they can't do it when it's white men. Can't get mad because it's white men. There's nothing wrong with that. And then as soon as, oh, you can't judge women, but you can judge white men. And I hate to put race into it, but it is what it is.
But I just
Because
it
honestly, that is how it goes a lot of the time.
well, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of that. And I mean, I don't understand why. Like the thing is, they do it for the football seasons.
Yeah,
They put all these football players everywhere, and I like that's where I'm saying like this has happened before because I've seen stuff. Even regarding like similar to what you just said, not to make this an even bigger issue than it is,
no,
but
exactly.
specifically like it was a thing really recently, leading up into the Super Bowl. I saw one in like the top tier, it was all white players,
Yeah.
and then on the lower tiers you had the other players, the players of color, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
trying, like, I wasn't meaning it is a race thing, but there are versions of this where that happens.
yeah,
Like,
and so that's what I'm saying. Like I understand there's issues within a lot of these, something like that. The one with the women here, but I'm just like, it's happened so much, and people don't bat an eye at it 90% of the time until somebody seemingly wants to make an issue of it.
yeah, if somebody wants to be like, "Hey, I'm offended by this," then everybody gets offended by it, but it's just like
Like there
one
like there
person.
there was a men's one done up of the WWE superstars with all kinds of different superstars spread out through the tiers, and I never saw one complaint about, Keith Lee being on the $2 tier and the
Right.
top tier being these guys. But the second it was like
Yeah.
the women, it's like you can't put a value on them, that, but it's like, why did nobody have an issue with
Yeah.
the men?
Yeah, I didn't mean to say the whole race thing there when I was meaning that. I was more meaning compare, like, you can judge men, but you can't judge women, is basically what I was trying to say, and it kinda came out weird. when I was
Well,
explaining it.
oh yeah. Well, the thing is, it's an interesting thing there because yeah, like when you have a thing where it's all guys, most of the time nobody will bat an eye. Like I understand what you mean, but when you pull something specific into it, so like you said with the race thing, if the top 2-3 tiers are all white guys,
Yeah,
there's an issue there.
exactly.
That's a very specific issue which people should take a bit of offense to. Um,
Sure.
but like the thing is with this one, it was a bunch of the women's wrestlers. It was spread out, and I'm like, what's the difference between this and the men's one that was put up?
Well, and I mean, if I remember correctly, Charlotte was top tier, Natalia
The the
was in the
the
bottom
the
tier.
four horsewomen were the $5 tier. They were the top tier.
Right. I'm sorry, Natalia, you are not on the same level as Charlotte as kayfabe books it.
Yeah, in the way you've been booked, in the way you've been shown, there is a very evident difference between you two. No, I don't. No, in the sense of the money value, blah blah blah. Sure, but the thing is who's gonna let's put this into a booking sense. If you're gonna put Charlotte besides Natalia, who's getting the title shots? Not Natalia.
Or if you did want to put a money value on it, you have Charlotte and you have Natalia. One is both are going to ask for $5. Who are you likely to give the $5 to book?
Well, exactly. Like this isn't a disrespect to Natalia. Natalia's been there for a long, long time. She's a fantastic wrestler. She, part of this crazy, ultra awesome family, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But
But she's not Bret Hart.
no,
And she's not Anvil.
yeah, she's it's I don't know. I saw it and then I saw all the controversy about it and I'm like I literally just saw the men's one back a few weeks ago and I didn't see a single person bitching that,
Exactly.
let's say I don't remember who exactly was on it, but let's say Mojo Rawley's in the $1 tier. Why was nobody bitching about Mojo Rawley being down there? Mojo Rawley is a great athlete.
Yeah.
He
But
is
as
a
soon as
very good athlete.
say it was the Hurt Business is the bottom tier, and then you have um John Cena, Roman Reigns, like all at the top, and you look at that and go, okay, well, why is Hurt Business looked as this when Lashley is actually being booked as strong as, say, Reigns?
See, yeah, that's where the issue is. That's something like that's like what I was saying about the football one. That's where the issues lie. That's the ones that you are allowed to look and go, why is, somebody like Lashley in the $1 when he should be a lot higher?
I'm not saying he has to be $5, but if you're not going to put him on the same level as Reigns because he's US champion, put him on the $4 tier.
Yeah, like that's where
There's
the
justifications.
yeah, but for the women's one, I don't understand where the issue lied. I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting it, but it it was
We're not
there.
trying to
It's
offend anybody by what we are saying either.
no, I'm just I don't like I said, basically to finish this off to just put this as, as simply as stated. There are ones that you can have issues with when there's a very, very much so issue. There have been ones for football teams and stuff like that where there have been legitimate issues in it where it seems like, just because they're a player of color or stuff like that. Like why is the $5 tier all the white dudes? Something like that. Sure. Like you
Or in
said
a
with
mixed
Lashley.
list. Why is the top tier all men and the bottom tiers all women?
That too, exactly. That's something you can look at and go, I have an issue with that, and I agree 100%. But this list,
Right.
it was all women, and
All competitive women.
at the end of the day, it's a fun thing for the fans.
Yeah.
So
It
why the
oh,
fuck does anybody have to make an issue of that one?
I remember in WWE's magazines, they used to do stuff like this. Like who were the top whatevers in this and or rank who you think is this. Obviously they had the correct answer key, but it was mainly just pick who you think, and like these things were for fun, and we don't have the magazine anymore to do that. So this is where we do these things for fun now.
Yep. Yeah.
I miss the WWE magazine. The last one was the cover of the Shield, by the way, because I had a year's subscription to it, and the last one where they returned the subscription fee to me was the Shield on the cover.
Really.
Yeah,
I have a lot of the old ones literally in my closet in a bin. I have
so
most
do
of the
I.
ones from 07, 08 and that. I was gonna get rid of them, and then I started going through them, and I'm like,
Can't.
I can't, like, whether I ever go through them again in my life or not. I'm like, when it comes to wrestling, I'm very sentimental
Yes.
about stuff in wrestling, especially from days like that. I like, but that's like people who grew up with the Attitude Era. I know people who have tons of shit that, like, there's no reason to have it anymore, but it was
Yeah.
from their era of wrestling,
Well,
stuff like that.
I held on to my mangled big gold commemorative heavyweight championship for way too long. Like it was falling apart. And it was just a commemorative, so it was all plastic. Like
Yeah.
there was no point to even keep it around. And as soon as I'm pointing to it right now, my universal title. I can't display it on camera. There was no more reason to basically have this falling apart big gold championship on display anymore because it just looked crap. And I mean, I have a commemorative $1 million title that I'm eventually going to replace with a proper one. I just don't have the money for that.
Those things are fucking expensive.
The $1 million title is one of those belts that's just so pretty that I'm gonna get a metal version of it, but it's just so difficult to get your
You
hands
got to
on.
make sure you get the stones replaced in it, though.
Oh, I will. I'll send it away to whatever company and be like, cubic zirconias, please.
Yeah, yeah. They're so pretty. Oh
And I'd
man.
probably get it replated too, just because that way it looks more
That's
gold.
fair. Yeah, that's fair. But anyways, yeah. We'll move on here onto the results. And just want to state one last time about that post from Fox. Like, we don't want to get any heat. We don't want to piss anybody off there.
Yeah,
It was
no.
very much so, like I said, maybe we just don't understand. If somebody wants to maybe explain it a bit more to us to understand, that'd be great. I personally really didn't see the issue with it.
Especially
Um,
when there is other versions of this exactly happening everywhere else.
exactly. Like, there's a
I'm pretty
million
sure even in the
versions.
WNBA, like the women's basketball league.
Every fucking sport, like, fans post it, official accounts post it. They're everywhere. Something like this where there wasn't a very evident issue like we've discussed, I don't see why it was made a big deal. If there
Yeah,
was something very specific to it, like we've stated already, I would have gotten it. But just because it was all women, I don't I don't
yeah,
see why that was the issue versus the all men. Like,
yeah. I look at these things like I'm in a hockey group on Facebook where it is literally designed to take shots at the other teams that you're not a fan of. This is nothing that was to be taking a shot at.
no.
Like they make ones like this for to take a shot at a certain team and they'll tier the last team as the bottom number one. This in no way was a shot at anybody's skill. This was simply looking at how they've been ranked in kayfabe and saying, okay, you are a lesser wrestler on the storyline. This is where you're getting ranked for
Yeah.
this bit that we're doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just baffled when I saw the
Yes.
heat over it, and cuz
People will find an excuse to fight about anything.
yeah, cuz I sat and I really looked, cuz like I said, I've seen the ones where I've been like, "Ooh, like that's not the greatest way of doing that."
Right.
And when I saw this start blowing up, I'm sitting there trying to look and see and be like, okay, like, where is the very evident, like, it sucks, but like, where was the very evident, like, race issue or something like that? Because a lot of the time, especially with the football ones, that is where a lot of the issue lies. And like I
Yeah,
said, there have been ones that I've even looked at and been like, you guys really should have rethought that.
but it also does go both ways on those ones as well. Like it's not like it's specifically all whites on the top. It like there have been ones where it is all say Hispanic or people of color on the top and then
Yeah.
all the white people are on the bottom too. Like
Yeah.
it does go both ways.
Oh, exactly. But I sat there trying to find the issue, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
You're ranked based off of where you are on the card right now, and that's it. There's no
Yeah.
reason Natalia can't make her way back to the main event within the next few years and make it into that $5 tier. But
Yeah.
right now,
And I mean, is she mad that she's on the list or is she mad that she's so low on the list? Because if I'm say Tony Storm, who likely wasn't on that list,
I don't think she was.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, like you're at least on the list. Like you
Yeah. There are people who I would say, and I don't mean anything bad to Natalia here, who are just better wrestlers than Natalia.
Well, if we're gonna be finding issues with stuff like that, to bring it back around, I mean, we're gonna be talking about NXT here in a minute, but like Bianca Belair has not once mentioned the fact of facing Io Shirai. It has
Yep.
not been brought up once that Bianca could face Io Shirai.
Even though Edge is fully able to face Finn.
That's something to be pissed off about.
Oh, it is, but nobody's talking about it. Us, we are.
Oh yeah, because I'm pissed off about it. But
I am.
I just I don't know. I don't want to stick on this any longer.
Yeah,
I
no.
was so fucking baffled by it.
It was just such a weird moment.
It was. It was. I don't know. But anyways, we'll move on to our results here.
Yeah.
Impact Wrestling up first. We got the new show before the Impact. I didn't watch a ton of it.
I watched it. I didn't write anything about the match, but it was Triple XL versus Decay, and Decay won.
Yeah. I I did make one really quick note on it.
For sure.
Um, Similar to how Bronson Reed and NXT had that camera shake effect, they are doing it now for Triple XL's entrance.
They've been doing it for a while.
Have they?
They when I first watched Impact, uh the first match I saw was Triple XL, and they did it with their entrance.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Granted, the only Triple XL match I can say I've seen beyond this was at pay-per-view.
And I think they came out with Tennille.
Yeah, so it makes
So
sense. But it really worked. I
have you
really
heard their
liked it.
music as well? It's amazing.
I
Like just the way it sounds, like
I'll have to go and find it afterwards because I can't say I specifically have paid attention.
yeah.
Um,
Triple XL is they need to be booked better, I think.
yeah, and the match started during the commercial break, which I was like,
Impact's done that a lot.
I know. But yeah,
And I
as
mean even WWE's done it too.
yes, they have. But as you stated, Decay won. So
And what okay, the one issue I had with this match was we just had a version of this match on a pay-per-view, and
literally
now it's a
Saturday.
pre-show for a weekly show.
Yeah. Yeah. The only difference is we didn't have Rosemary and Tennille involved. Like that
Yeah,
was the only difference.
that was the only difference.
But
And the finish was the exact same.
yep, it was. But yeah, and then we started Impact, and I'm still baffled. I'm still a bit annoyed that we started the night off with Josh Alexander against TJP for the X Division Championship. Like what the fuck is this booking?
I and I mean I could hear Stryker being like, "Well, it's Alexander who made this decision. He's like, I got this shot. I want it right now." I'm like, "Yeah, but I like build."
Some kind of build, and like It open. Why did it open the show? I can pick out like probably 2 or 3 other segments or matches that could have opened the fucking show.
The next two I can. The next four. Well, I guess not that one. The next two for sure.
There's a
Could have.
lot in here that could have opened the show, and not
Yeah.
this. Like the thing is, the match was absolutely fantastic. It just pisses me off that something like this opened the show.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing match. Just you want to talk about two different styles going at it.
Like
This was that.
two different sides of the coin. Holy shit.
Like, and I mean, Alexander would try to do what TJP does, and TJP would try to do what Alexander does, and it wouldn't happen because the other one is just that damn good at it.
Yep.
Like, it's one of those ones where you just got to go watch it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Impact gave it away for free on the first show.
Yep. But TJP retained after a detonation kick into a Mamba splash.
Oh, I kept hearing. I honestly heard them say "naked kick." I listened to it like 5 times. I was like, "He's saying naked kick."
Detonation kick.
Yeah, I was just like, I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen both of those moves. I've seen that combo live, and it's impressive. But yeah, so TJP retains, and then we head off to a backstage segment. We've got Tommy Dreamer leaving Scott D'Amore's office, and Dreamer mentions about what happened at No Surrender and Moose, and Rich Swan's not there because of the attack, and then he tells Moose that they're having an old school rules match.
Yeah.
Which I was like, Dreamer, I like you. Please don't. Please don't.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Tommy Dreamer goes and fucking kills himself.
Yeah, and then we get a promo for Rebellion.
Yeah.
I think this is like one of 5.
They're advertising it a lot.
And considering they've started to advertise for the next one, I'm worried they're going to start muddling the two now.
More than likely. More than likely, if you were tired of the Elimination Chamber promos or Seth Rollins returning promos, just wait.
Oh, I know.
Brian Myers runs into Hernandez backstage. Finish pays he gives Hernandez the rest of his payment from No Surrender, and then gives him the first installment for tonight's match. And then Falaba finds Hernandez. And
this was great.
Fucking Falaba just getting money from everybody that he can.
Yeah, and he basically is just like, all right, Hernandez, listen. You give me $20, I'll turn, or I guess he says, give me like your wad and I'll turn it into a bigger amount. And Hernandez is like, here, I'll give you 20, turn that into 40, and we'll talk.
10.
Did he only? I thought he was.
Follow wanted 20 to make it into 40, and Hernandez is like, how about I give you 10, you make it into 20, and then we'll talk.
Okay, so anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
that was great.
that was fucking hilarious. I love Falaba.
I do too.
Oh, and then we go into the next match, which, I mean, good match, but I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. It's
I told you my opinion of this match as soon as it started.
Yeah, Willie Mack, Davari, Suicide, and Trey Miguel in a basically fatal 4-way. Like I said, I don't remember. I think it's just called a 4-way match.
Yeah.
The match was impressive. The 4 guys killed it. Trey Miguel ends up picking up the win over Suicide after a Meteora. So we have this. Why did Trey lose at No Surrender?
So we could have the TJP versus Josh Alexander match that we had earlier. But we couldn't have Miguel lose, so we had to get his win back.
I mean, the thing is, the promo that happens afterwards makes sense, but I was like, did we really have to take 3 other guys from that match? Have a
One of them being Willie
4-way?
Mack.
Yeah. And
Just, yeah.
and then have Trey pick up the win there. Like, what?
Obviously, the pin went on Suicide, who is going to be Impact's perennial jobber, it seems, which sucks.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Um,
But this was literally just to get Trey his win back. Because he didn't get pinned in the triple threat eliminator. This is just to prove that if it wasn't for Josh Alexander, he would have won.
yeah. Oh,
That's
exactly.
all it was.
But like we said, it makes sense after Trey heads to the backstage. Sami Callihan's standing there, clapping away for him. And he tells him that he doesn't have any passion, which is why he failed at No Surrender.
Yep.
And that when the matches matter, he can't get it done.
Basically, yeah.
And Trey just kind of walks off from the segment, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, he didn't look mad. He didn't really look anything.
He just had a really blank face on, and I was like, I'd be kind of pissed if somebody said that to me.
And I don't want to say this to beat on Trey, but I think there's a reason why he's not in NXT right now.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why the two we'll talk about later tonight have their moment versus what Trey is doing right now. They're just such different levels of quality difference.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Trey is a bad wrestler.
No, because Trey is really good from what I've seen.
Exactly. He's not on that same level. Sami is very much true. He can't get it done in the big moments.
It just is what it is.
Yeah. And that's very much proof by the fact that he won't stand up for himself when somebody tells him that.
Yeah. Anyways,
but they were his crutches.
Yeah, they were the crutches. We head back to Scott D'Amora's office. TJP's in there. Scott congratulates him for his win, and in comes Ace Austin, who, if he was standing in front of me and I was behind the wheel of a vehicle, there's a good chance I'd be stepping on the gas.
But he's got a point.
The character, not the person,
No.
I would never harm another human being, but if the character was standing in front of me, maybe.
But is he wrong?
No, and I mean, if you want to explain that a little further, just in case.
He goes on and he's like, hey, I'm the rightful number one contender. I won this X Division Cup that literally said I'm the number one contender. Why am I not the number one contender? And Scott's like, you're right. Let's put you in a match to make you the number one contender.
2 matches!
Well, yeah, 2 matches.
First, it's going to be a 6-man tag, and then the winning side of that tag is going to have a triple threat. And then the winner of that I was like, Scott, what?
Yeah, I was like, he's already done a tournament. He's got his shot in his hand.
Like, I was fucking making comments about Tony Khan and his AEW fucking paid ads and the way he was acting. I think Scott D'Amore got a little bit of whatever Tony Khan was on.
Yeah, and then, he turns to TJP and he's like, well, I mean, he beat 7 guys or whatever it was in the tournament, so he's got no problem beating 6. He's only got to beat 4, technically.
5.
So,
technically speaking.
One that gets pinned in each, so he's really only got to beat 2 people.
Yeah.
Technically, because only one person gets pinned in each.
Technically, Ace Austin, only has to beat 1 person.
Because he could have just sat there for the 6-man tag and just done nothing. By the way, they don't tell us who's in this 6-man tag until later. What? Who's in the match when they tell us? I'm just like, I'm sorry, what?
I couldn't find, by the way, obviously a little spoiler bit here. I could not find the promo pic again. Willie Mack. It looks hit. I don't know what was wrong with his face in the promo picture, but it was terrifying. It looked like they took a shot of him. His eyes were closed during the picture, and they're like, "It's fine, we'll fix it in post." And they just found the fucking craziest eyes possible, and like that's nothing on Willie Mack, because I enjoy Willie Mack. Willie Mack
Yeah,
is another one of those guys. He's a big guy and he's a good performer,
absolutely.
similar to the likes of like Keith Lee. Like
Oh, imagine Keith Lee versus Willie Mack.
YouTube it,
It's a thing?
you will not be disappointed.
Good.
Um, but yeah. So anyways,
But yeah, I'm glad Scott's being a take no shits, but at the same time, he's got to stick to what his rules are. Like, you gave this guy a tournament to win to be the number one contender, and then you're like, lol, you still got to fight to be the number one contender.
Nope.
Like, it's that thing. Here's your carrot. Oh, like,
Oh, you gotta be quicker than that.
yeah, exactly. Or the Stone Cold going for the briefcase, and it's just yoink. We never got a response to that, by the way.
So yeah, anyways.
Moving on.
Hernandez against Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, at ringside.
Yeah.
Pretty standard match. Cardona picks up the win to get back from his no surrender loss.
Yeah. I mean, there was this moment where right before they go to commercial, Hernandez pops Matt over him as he's going for radio silence and just decks him with a low blow. And I'm like, oh, that'll be the finish. And then it just goes to commercial. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Good old Impact Wrestling. Yeah, Cardona ends up having an in-ring interview. And before anything really interesting is said, Brian Myers hits the ring, says that Impact is his, Matt's copying him, shit like that. And
Yeah.
Hernandez is too big to try and be sneaky. He is. He is.
Yeah.
That's no disrespect, as we've stated in the past. I mean, we're both big guys, and I can tell you for a fact, it's a lot of the time very hard to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And somehow, yeah,
Especially with how
Hernandez.
much that ring bounces as they move.
Exactly. But Hernandez just fucking lays out Matt Cardona. Go figure, Eddie Edwards makes the save. And Cardona ends up hitting Myers in the eye, and Myers just kind of fucks off from there. And
Yeah.
we already got this match. What are
Yeah.
we doing?
Well, I think it's going to be some kind of like big blow off match between Cardona and Myers.
Yes, that's what I figured we were leading to. I said that on our pay-per-view recap. But why are we
Yeah.
still having Eddie Edwards and Hernandez involved then?
Probably to do a feud between Hernandez and Eddie Edwards, maybe? Just break these off into two separate feuds.
The worst part is, though, there's no direct heat between Hernandez and Eddie other than the common denominators of Brian and Cardona.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And I mean, Edwards really wasn't the one who should have made the save initially. The first time should have been Alexander, because they had already had that happening.
oh, what are you talking about? It was never Josh Alexander. Um,
Yeah.
we get the AEW paid ad. Tony Khan's very tame in this one, I found.
Yeah, I mean, he's the open door, man. Like he can't always be so crazy.
Well, it's because that forbidden door is open now. All that energy was let out.
That's
Um,
exactly it.
and the most interesting part of this ad was him letting Kenny know he had a Valentine's belated Valentine's Day gift for him, which, by the way, I didn't think we were getting when I was watching Dynamite, because we were at like the final 2 minutes of Dynamite and then it happened, which we'll get to, which we will get to,
Oh yeah.
because it's, yeah. But anyways, in my notes here, Havoc and Nevaeh backstage, wondering if they should even be a team anymore. Nevaeh is unsure of it all. Go figure. Here's Tennille and Kaleb. Kaleb with a K, obviously.
Yep.
She offers to be Havoc's new partner. Calls Nevaeh just, extra weight. And
In front of her, like
yeah.
literally.
And Nevaeh challenges her to a match tonight. And Nevaeh tells Havoc that she has to do this on her own. She challenges her to a match right now, actually, is what was said. And,
but next.
but next. Anyways, yeah. We get up next. Finally, the Impact debuts of Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson. David Finlay,
Although
obviously.
technically not the debut for Juice Robinson.
The debut as the tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Finlay, obviously.
I think he was something else in Impact initially, though.
Was he?
Yeah, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, I know he was CJ Parker in NXT.
Yeah.
But yeah, David Finlay, obviously the son of the legendary Fit Finlay.
Yes.
They
take on Reno Scum.
Reno Scum, Adam, Thornstowe, and Luster the Legend. Luster was the guy with the mohawk. I had to find their names.
Oh yeah, no, because the entire time, D'Lo and Stryker are literally just like, and Reno Scum does this. I'm like,
I know. I'm like, at one point they mentioned Luster once, and they said Adam maybe twice.
Yeah, I heard them throw in a name, but I'm like, I can't go off of those names to just start calling. I'm just. So literally the entire time it's like, Reno Scum, make a comeback. Reno Scum, double. I'm like, I don't know who's doing the move, but it's a dude.
Yeah, Luster was the guy with the mohawk.
Okay. But the thing is, thinking about it now, they're in Impact's movie or like opening video package.
Reno Scum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's a point where the guy with the mohawk's sitting like this, and he breaks his hands apart, and they're just standing like that. Like, it's just a really quick flash.
Okay. Sure. This match is really really fast paced for most of it. Really, really good action. Super impressed with Finjuice on this one. Just amazed, and obviously they pick up the win. That's
the only thing I will say about this match is we did book these guys as big guys coming from New Japan, and we had not seen Reno Scum in at least 2 months since we've started our podcast.
Yeah, I have not seen them yet, and I started the second week of January.
Right.
So why is this their first match?
Exactly. Why did Finjuice have such a tough time initially against them?
Oh, but
like, I get it. We want to maybe try to book Reno Scum, but why did we have them lose against this team? Then you probably have other teams that are basically jobbers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's lots there that you could have done,
or you could have just taken two what do you call them, local talents.
Yep.
And had them do it.
If you wanted this match to go the exact same way, you should have put them against a team that's been on TV, and even if they were to pick up the win still, it would make sense for them to struggle a bit more.
Yeah, but they struggled against a team that we have no backstory on. I mean, like I mentioned, they're in Impact's movie, whatever you call it, video package, but other than that, I've never seen them before.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, Finn Juice wins, and I almost skipped over the post match here because if you want to take this one here, the Good Brothers.
Yeah, the good brothers come out and they're happy to see the boys.
The
You know, we
boys.
love when the boys come in. Uh, just like and then Carlos goes on about how Finn Juice used to carry their bags back in Japan and whatever, how they were young boys to the Good Brothers. Um, and Doc promotes talking shop bourbon, saying like, let's go to a bar and have some talking shop bourbon. And he literally has this bottle that they've already dummied, and it's very apparent that they've dummied a bottle.
Yep.
And then Juice gets on the mic and he goes, we aren't young boys anymore. We are established now, so let's just cut right to the drinking then. Yeah, that's pretty much what
Yay.
happens.
That's the
Like,
promo.
the one thing I did notice, Finn and Juice were too sweeting. Are they a part of Bullet Club?
I don't think so.
You don't, or you do? I
I
only heard.
don't.
Well, I heard think so.
I don't think so.
But like when they got in the ring, they did what looked like a
I
too sweet
know.
to me.
I know. I was noticing it, but I didn't really. Current members. Juice is not there. Subgroups, no.
I mean, when I type Finn Juice Bullet Club, there's literally a match: Finn Juice versus Bullet Club, March 25th, 2020.
Yeah, so I can't.
So maybe it's a similar thing to a too sweet that they're doing.
Maybe. I don't know.
'Cause-
I was noticing it, but I didn't think much of it.
But then when the Good Brothers came out, I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm not.
Like, I just don't understand why it happened. Like, I was just so confused.
Yeah, it seems really odd.
Yeah. But after that, it moves on to Rohit Raju and Mahabali Shira
Yes.
talking in a bar.
Yes.
And Rohit blames Shira for the loss, which is really, really interesting, considering there's no reason to blame Shira really
Exactly.
for the loss.
Yep.
And he pushes Shira. Brave.
Yeah, I wouldn't have fucking done that. That
Shira
causes
pushes him back.
which sends him into James Storm. And there's a little bit of back and forth there, and it was good to see Storm smash a bottle over somebody's head again.
Yeah.
Poor Rohit.
And then Shira steps up and is just like, hey, basically just kind of stands there, and then Saban's like, hey, we're good here.
We're good. As he stumbles around.
Oh, both Storm and Saban are half in the bag. Like
half?
Oh, probably fully in the bag.
I was gonna say, and then fucking, oh my god.
Because of course, this is where this segment goes.
Here's fucking Johnny Swinger. And this is probably because I've made the comment in the past of not really being sure about Swinger and these segments. When he popped up, I audibly laughed because I was like, "Fuck, here we go."
Oh yeah!
Come on, Daddy! Come on, let's go to the Swingers Palace.
You guys won't get kicked out of here, But the one thing I noticed is when Swinger leaves with Storm and Saban, he grabs the waitress's tip. That Storm was really nice, even though he was getting kicked out. He pays off his tab and gives the waitress a tip.
Yeah, and then Swinger fucking grabs it. Like what a tool.
Yeah.
And then we come. I think we went to commercial, and when we come back
for a quick sec, yeah.
Storm and Saban are in the Swingers Palace. At one point, if I'm not mistaken, Storm calls Alicia Beyonce.
Okay, I thought that's who it It was. I couldn't figure out who he was talking to
Yeah,
because I'm still really bad with because that's Eddie's wife,
that's
right?
Eddie Edwards' wife. Yeah,
I'm still really bad with all the names at Impact. I know the relations for the most part, but I'm still struggling with the names.
yeah,
But yeah, and then they just start rapping.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
oh, it was
fucking
just
Falaba comes in, puts his $10 down, busts in like 2 seconds.
he just keeps he goes, hit me, hit me. I think he gets to like 20 and he says hit me and I'm like, you're dumb. Like
Falaba, fuck's sakes, just stop. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Sacrifice will air March 13th.
yeah, I thought that's what I couldn't remember what date it was announced, but I saw that there was an announcement for it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find. I want to try and see. Johnny Swinger. I don't know if you have it in your notes. He makes a comment during the segment, and everybody stops after what he says. Do you have that at all?
No, I don't. And I'm trying to remember what he said now.
I don't know. It was something about getting crabs or some shit like that.
Oh,
Come on. Come on.
let me think. He said something along the lines of it can't be as bad as that time I got crabs from like a stripper or something like that.
Yeah, he said somebody, and everybody just stops and turns to fucking Johnny Swinger, and he's just like, and like the segment just finishes.
Yeah, I was so focused on Storm and Saban that I just couldn't. I didn't write anything else because Storm when he starts rapping, he's looking at him and he's just like, "What's up?" Like the way he looks is just so drunk. It's perfect.
It was fucking hilarious. Um,
It was just great.
and then we finally get what was supposed to be right now.
And now,
Tennille Dashwood against Nevaeh, Kaleb at ringside.
yep,
It was pretty standard.
it wasn't horrible. Like it's just
It
yeah,
wasn't match of the night, but
no, it wasn't worst either. In
Tennille
my
picks up the
opinion, I don't
win,
think it was.
and there wasn't really any story furthering this from this point. Havoc wasn't anywhere to
No,
be seen.
and Nevaeh didn't really like get upset. She just kind of left.
Yeah,
Like it was just like there was literally no build for what we had been told was going to be. If basically if Nevaeh wins, she's still going to team with Havoc. If she loses, she's not. Was basically the implication.
but we
But
got nothing from it.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and then we have a Violent by Design promo, which
yeah. Diener's just talking to Jake. He's like, you're gonna suffer for not joining Violent by Design. And Diener needs to right the wrong of losing, and it needs to make it right next week. He'll bring Jake to the table and put him through it. If he doesn't, he'll accept his failure, which I think will mean he'd leave Violent by Design, which is something I don't want to happen. And so I think that what we're gonna see next week is Jake actually lose to Diener, but
okay.
probably in some way with help from Violent by Design.
Yeah. But yeah, we get the tables match announced for next week. Um
Yeah.
and then we have Deonna Purrazzo, Susan, and Kimberly backstage. Susan wants to fight Jazz because she pinned her.
And I like how Susan or how Kimber and Kimber and Perazo are literally just like, hey, that might not be a good idea.
You might not want
Like
to do
it's
that.
it's like Susan has no idea what level of character it's like Santino when he would try to go up against like Taker and Cena and stuff like that. And he just had no idea that what he was doing was going to do nothing against a guy like that. This is exactly what Susan's doing, and it's so good because, like, when she gets the way she looks, like, she gets upset and is just like, I actually believe that she's gonna do something, and for whatever reason, and then she just gets her ass kicked. I'm like, it's perfect.
It
Like,
works.
because you buy into it, because you're like, oh, she's getting mad. Oh, she's still Susan.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, but there's Scott. Deanna was like, I'm kind of the champ, and like, I think Susan and Kimber deserve a shot at the knockouts tag titles. And then Scott, with his take no shit attitude, is like, good idea, we'll make a match.
Yeah,
But it's not the match that.
Yeah, because clearly Peraza was like, oh yeah, the tag title match, right? And then no.
No. It's Kimber and Susan against, I believe it was Jazz and Jordan Grace, that it was said.
Yes. Jazz and Jordan Grace.
Number one contendership next week. Um,
Yeah, the weird thing with Scott there is when he made this match, he goes, it'll be Susan and Kimber versus Jazz and Grace. Or Jazz and Jordine, he said. So it was kind of weird to not say their last names and stuff like that. That's so I didn't quite catch it at first.
yeah, it was really odd for a second
Yeah.
there.
Like, it's not we need their last names, but when it's the first time they're mentioned on the show, it does help.
Yeah, it just felt weird. And yeah, before we get into the main event here, do you have the list of the 6 people in that X Division 6-man tag next week? Do you have those names listed by
Oh, I
chance?
thought I did. I guess I don't. I'll just quickly grab it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not hard to find. I'm sure Impact by this point has posted. Yeah, right here. Right here. Willie Mack, Trey Miguel, Josh Alexander, Chris Bay, Ace Austin, and Black Taurus.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you looking at the promo picture real quick?
I can't quite find it. What did
If you just
exactly
go on Twitter and go on Impact Wrestling's Twitter account.
Okay. Perfect.
And look at Willie Mack's face. Like, I can't.
It's this one, eh?
I can't be the only one. Like, right?
They almost look like they're Black Taurus's eyes just glued on.
So,
Like,
for obviously anybody listening or anybody watching or anything like that, yeah, if you can, just go to Twitter, go on Impact Wrestling's Twitter and look at the 6-man tag. And, like, do you see what I mean, though? It's like Willie Mack blinked and they're like, it's fine, we'll fix it.
it's really weird because, like, I don't think Willie Mack's eyes are green.
Maybe they are, but that just, it caught me off guard.
Like, is he wearing colored contacts?
Maybe?
Why, though?
Yes. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want a steel chair from Hard to Kill, the match it was used in that 6-man tag, Diener, like Violent by Design versus whoever that would have been. I think it was Rhino Dreamer and Cousin Jake.
That the 6-man tag match?
Yeah, from Hard to Kill. You can bid on that now on eBay.
Oh, cool.
Currently, it's signed by all 6.
That's really cool.
I looking at it, that was one of the first things I saw, which I thought was really neat. Yeah, one of 2 used, which Cousin Jake went crashing through. That's kind of neat, actually. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, we move on to the main event of Impact Wrestling: Moose versus Tommy Dreamer, old school rules.
I thought we were gonna witness a murder.
I did too. I was very, very worried for Tommy Dreamer here. But I mean, it's a decent match. It's kind of what you would expect from this match. Handful of weapons used.
Mainly on Tommy's side.
Yeah, Moose sells some, doesn't sell others. And
Yeah.
very obviously Moose picks up the win. Big spear to Tommy Dreamer, and
Turns him inside out.
um, and that was the show. There wasn't really much more
Yeah, no,
to it.
there was no after match segment, nothing. It was just that's it. Moose
Yeah,
destroyed Tommy. And because like I think we had mentioned Tommy's probably wanting to wind down his career here, at least on TV for a little bit. This is probably what just wrote him off.
yeah, yeah.
So
More than likely. Now normally we would go to AEW's Dynamite next, but I'm gonna say we hit NXT first,
sure.
just due to the fact of some of the stuff that happened on Dynamite. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
I think we've got a little more to discuss there, so I figure we can get through NXT at a relatively good pace here. Um, NXT, another decent show from them. Show starts off. Kyle O'Reilly hits the ring, gets a mic, um, and starts talking about the betrayal from Adam Cole from
And
this
I
past
like
Sunday.
he did this before the commentators even finished their like welcome to NXT bit.
Yeah, yeah. He was just like, I'm getting this done.
I'm doing this right now. Like,
Um, tells Cole he stabbed him in the back. And but says they're still brothers, and he's gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
which I
Uh,
really, really appreciated considering how much this group was looked at as a family.
yeah, like he made the
Family's fun.
comment that like we were supposed to be different from literally every other group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he wants an explanation, and he tells Cole straight up that I'll hear you out, but I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah. Well, he says I'll probably punch you in the face. He doesn't guarantee. But
I believe he said I'm going to punch you in the face.
I heard after I'll probably punch you in the face. That's what I heard, but
Ah,
I could be wrong.
but here comes Roderick Strong. Uh,
Yeah.
and Kyle's just pissed.
Kyle's like, no, I didn't ask for you. I said Adam, go away. Just the whole time. Like,
And Roderick Strong trying to kind of stand up for Adam, saying his actions were because of his emotions and stuff like that. And Kyle O'Reilly's just taking no shit. He's saying he doesn't even know who to trust anymore. And he keeps calling Cole
yeah.
out. And then here comes Balor. And
Very much not Adam Cole.
O'Reilly is just pissed. And Balor tells him, like, get in line
Yeah, but Balor's mad at Kyle,
as well. Yeah.
which I don't quite understand because if Kyle had no idea, like I get that Balor didn't want to trust Undisputed Era because he thought something bad would happen.
And
He
when
was
he
right.
did, yeah. So like the anger's kind of redirected towards O'Reilly. Like I can understand
Yeah,
the way they were going with this. It did just seem a little um
like did you not see who stabbed you who in the back here? Like if anything, be maybe mad at Roddy and Adam.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Um but Pete Dunne, Oni Lorcan, and Danny Burch come out, begin attacking Finn, Kyle, and Strong, and it's very evident where we're going from here.
yeah,
Um Yeah, and then we get a video from Regal saying he received this message from Santos Escobar earlier in the day. And Escobar basically says he didn't like being threatened and he's going home. And
this better only happen once.
yeah, Regal moves the match next week and tells Santos if he doesn't show up, he'll be stripped. Now, here's the thing, though. I can
He's the
understand
interim.
there's probably something well that too, but there's probably something going on as to why it didn't happen. I don't see any reason why they would have pushed it, but at the same time they shouldn't have handled it that way, because if a, a lot of the time if a wrestler just doesn't want to do a match, there's fines, possibly suspensions, firings. And as a champion, you should not get any leniency. If you are a champion and you just, I don't want to do this, that title
Because
should be off
supposedly a
of you
contract's
right
been
there.
signed. Yeah, exactly. Because supposedly a contract's been signed, like, for these matches, because that's how WWE and wrestling works. All
Yeah,
matches are
te-
legally bound by a contract.
exactly. Even though you only see the contract signing for certain things, technically speaking, the way it's handled a lot of the time, there is some kind of a contractual obligation of this match.
Yeah,
Um,
because even when we don't see signings of contracts in title matches specifically, they always go, "Well, my contractually obligated thing." Like, it's a thing. We know these contracts exist. You just backed out of it.
yeah, so I was really, really pissed off. Like I said, there was more than likely an underlying thing. Um, but
There better have been,
I did
but
not appreciate it, the way it was handled. Because I was like, as champion, you shouldn't get a second opportunity. You should have been stripped from the way
oh
they
yeah,
handled it.
yeah. And then, in lieu of that being the main event, Regal then announces that the main event will be a 6-man tag team match: Dunn, Oni, and Danny versus Strong, O'Reilly, and Balor.
Yep. And then we
Because
go
yeah,
to a match which we got a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. This was the match last week.
yeah. This was the match last week that was the Dusty Rhodes
Yeah,
semifinal.
yeah. We get The Way, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. The Way are handing out uh missing posters for Austin Theory and that. Um, and I am very unimpressed with this segment, which I will get into my distaste for it more so later. But not only did we just have this match a week ago, we know Ember and Shotzi can beat them.
In a clean match because there was no outside interference in the last time.
Yeah, but the thing is this wasn't even the focus of this.
Nope.
The focus was not on these four women and what they could have done.
It was
Uh,
on this white van that appeared and hide your kids.
yeah. White van pulls up to the Capitol Wrestling Center. They show it a few times, and then Johnny's finally like, "I'm going to see what's at it." He heads off out of the blue. Like, he doesn't even say anything. He's just suddenly going.
Yeah, like even the commentators like,
Okay,
okay.
okay, bye.
Yeah.
We get, they kind of keep going to the van and the match in the van. At one point, Johnny's at the van, kind of walking around, won't go to the driver's side. And then,
When you look in though, you can see nobody's in the driver's seat.
yeah, and the window's down on the driver's side because like Johnny's like hitting the van. The window's down on the driver's side.
Yeah. Like,
Um, but anyways, and then suddenly, Johnny appears on stage, pulls the bag up off of Austin Theory's head. Austin is zip tied at his ankles, his hands. He's in his underpants. He's got a fanny pack on. He's in flip flops. And I'm pretty sure there's something on YouTube about this afterwards. I didn't watch it. Something about him being on vacation. Um,
right?
So, well, he looks like he just got back from vacation. It doesn't look like he was kidnapped. It looks like he just got back from vacation.
Okay.
But with that happening, uh like Candice LeRae sprints up the ramp, Indy Hartwell is left standing there, and Ember just rolls up Indy for the win. And it pissed me off.
It just ended, yeah.
Um, but I'll get into my distaste for that later on in our segments.
Yeah.
We get a video package from Pat McAfee, calling out the internet wrestling community. He was right about Adam Cole all along. He wants his apology, and oh, I'd love to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys you look at him and you're like, oh, I could just punch you, dude.
Yeah, like
Like,
I would have no issue. Um, Obviously, I would assume playing up a character. I don't know. I've heard stories both ways about Pat
from I
McAfee.
mean, from what I've seen on his like the WWE panels and stuff where they don't usually play into a character on the panels.
Yeah.
No, that is who he is. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's
So
about all I have to say about him.
pretty well. We see Kushida earlier in the day getting
The
checked out.
the one thing just before that, like in between these two segments, there was this interesting promo for Joe Coffey and Rampage Brown. I had no idea who this really was. This was just an NXT UK promo.
Oh,
I
I
just
didn't even see this.
Oh really? Yeah, I got this. Yeah, it's just this it's a generic promo, Joe Coffey versus Rampage Brown in NXT UK, and it's just these two big guys just
I know Joe Coffey
I
because
know Joe Coffey as well. But yeah, Rampage Brown, just picture big dude. Like
big dude got it. Okay.
yeah, but it was just this promo, and I was just like, I don't know what this means. And it's like NXT UK. I was like, oh
Oh, okay. Sure. Cool. Yeah, and then like I was saying, we have Kushida getting checked out by the medical staff earlier in the day. Bronson Reed comes in and basically tells Kushida like I'm not done chasing the North American title and if it comes down to it, shit's going to happen.
and
um
I really want Bronson Reed to win the North American Championship now.
it would be cool, yeah. And then go figure, here comes Malcolm Bivens. And he's like, "Is Kushida cleared?" Yeah, yeah, he is. And he's like, "Okay, I got a match for you." And he walks off. Like it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew exactly what that was gonna be, but I was just like, "You're really gonna have your boy challenge Kushida?"
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, good fucking luck. Um, and then we head back to the ring. We've got Isaiah Swerve Scott against Leon Ruff. And it's a match.
it's just there.
They're really playing up the fact of like for some reason Leon Ruff isn't this great wrestler is what they're trying to play up, I
Well, it
guess.
seems like they're doing the Shorty G thing
Yeah.
again.
Like he's not the greatest wrestler. Like he's kind of been handed his opportunities. And like they argue on commentary a lot during this about like no, he earned them. He was given them. And I'm just like eh, eh.
Well, it seems because Wade is playing very much the heel
Oh, he
announcer.
is. Like it works, but at the same time I'm like, well, in complete honesty, he was kind of handed that North American title.
Yeah, when the heel starts spitting truth, you're just like, is he really the heel?
Yeah. um,
Like,
and Leon Ruff, kind of surprise pins, Isaiah Scott with, a crucifix pin. And then Scott just
yeah,
lays out Ruff post match. Um,
yeah.
there really wasn't much more to that. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, Scott just kind of like he just stares at him afterwards.
Yeah, he wants his title shot, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay.
Here, you can take this next one.
So we get a tag team match. Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro versus Aaliyah and Jessica Mea.
Wow, I
Now,
could just see you light up with glee when you mentioned Casey.
yeah, just a little bit. Uh and pretty much this entire match is Casey and Caden just double teaming both members of this team.
The
Uh
Robert Stone brand.
yeah, the Robert Stone brand. And then at some point Boa appears up on the stage. It doesn't really end up costing anything for them because they still end up hitting another new double team finisher.
Yeah, a
Uh
neckbreaker frog splash combination from the looks of it.
yeah, but like this is the third tag match or fourth tag match we've seen them in, and that's the fourth new finish that they've had to it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was really nice. And I think this is the first time that Caden picked up the win for her team. I think Casey picked it up the last couple times.
Yes. Yes, that is
Um,
accurate.
and so yeah. And then after, Carter gets really mad at Boa, and it's Zaya, right?
Xia Li, yep.
Yeah. And she just starts going up to confront her, and Casey kind of is the level head here, and she goes, just let me talk to her. And she goes up to Zaya and just like, what's your deal? Like, you're not like this, blah 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 blah. Same sort of thing that they were saying last week. And Zaya grabs her hand and marks her and says, "I will purge you next week," and then leaves.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Casey looks terrified. And I'm worried that we're never going to see Casey again after next week.
Next week will be an interesting one to cover. Um,
or Casey and Caden end up joining this group, which is something I'd be interested in actually.
it'll be interesting to see for sure, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then we get a backstage promo from Malcolm Bivens with Tyler Rust,
He's
and
a diamond in the rust.
yeah,
That doesn't sound good to me, but
yeah, and basically the point of the promo is trying to say that Tyler Rust is better than Kushida, which is laughable.
like, and I don't want to say anything against Tyler Rust. I've just never seen him do anything of value.
Yeah, especially throwing the name of Kushida out there, like.
The legendary Japanese wrestler.
Yeah. So, and then we get this segment next. I really enjoyed this. Beth Phoenix
I
is presenting the
loved
Dusty Cup
this.
to the winners. We have MSK out first. And they're just having a blast with it. And they announce that they are facing Oni and Danny for the tag championships on March 3rd. Obviously, not to be an ass and point out here, but WWE's gonna stack the hell out of that card on March 3rd.
Oh yeah,
Because I mean that's the go home show for Revolution. That's got
yeah,
Shaq on it. That's got some big shit. So
yeah. Because that's the what's it called? The match where Shaq's gonna be facing Cody and Jade.
yeah, Cody and Red Velvet. Shaq
Sorry,
and
yeah,
Jade.
yeah.
No
Look,
worries.
Red Velvet looks like Brandy, and that's the only reason she's in this match.
They are very scarily similar.
But that is like, and I hate to say it because if Brandy wasn't pregnant, that she'd be in this match.
Well, it was supposed to be Brandy.
It
That's
was.
what it was built up for. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, so anyways, so they're just having a blast with that. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez come out.
And I love that MSK, no matter who it is, like they'll open the ropes for them. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, come on in," and then they immediately got out of the way and let Raquel and Dakota have their moment.
Yeah, and as they are talking, obviously going for the similar promo here. Nia and Shayna come out tag champs. And this is I laughed a lot during this, especially MSK and Beth in the
I
corner
know.
eating popcorn. They're just having a blast.
Like it's just great because like they just start spitting these lines out, and then it just cuts over to MSK and Beth just
Yeah, like Dakota Kai is introducing Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to Raquel because Raquel wasn't there when they were there.
right.
A comment's made about Shayna Baszler ran after she got her ass kicked by Rhea Ripley, and Raquel makes a fair point of, oh, like the same Rhea Ripley that I beat in a last woman standing match.
Yeah,
Um,
like
and it's
so, but
it's
yeah,
it's going really good. Obviously, the match is made for I believe March 3rd again. And as Shayna and I are leaving, Raquel makes a comment of to Nia Jax about like I'll take like your shoe and shove it in your hole or whatever. And I'm pissing myself at this point and who was it Wesley or Nash Carter who fucking plant themselves on the ground like they died technically.
it's Wesley
Is
that
it?
did it. It was so good. But the one thing I wanted to say just before that, Jax goes to talk about how Dusty called her the
Oh,
biggest, baddest bitch.
that he's ever seen, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, careful, Bianca already has that gimmick.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, and yeah, Raquel, like with all due respect, and like Dusty rest his soul, like he never met me, and it was like, well, yeah,
It's very true.
you got a fair fucking point there, girl.
And even Jax looked at her and was just like,
Huh. But yeah,
"Fair."
it killed me when Raquel made that comment, and then Wesley was just like, oh, onto the mat. I
and,
just,
fu- and Nash is like sitting there fanning. I'm just like, dude, you good?
dude, it's okay, it's okay, just breathe.
Then we get Roderick and Kyle yelling in a parking lot, but like, I guess they're so far away that the
There's
yelling
no
isn't loud
audio.
enough.
Yeah.
Like, but if they're yelling at anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
So
know.
then when we were talking, this segment didn't happen for you.
I
This
did not
shows
get these next two segments on my feed that I watched.
I got the one. I get Tony. It's all photos. This is so it shows Tony interrupting EO's photo shoot, and it's literally just pictures, stills of her just beating on her. It's not horrible. It's something I think WWE and NXT should continue doing is showing beatdowns in photo shoots as stills instead of
Well, yeah,
like
because it was a
always
photo
doing a
shoot.
film. Yeah,
Yeah, the camera's not always there for a photo shoot.
yeah.
It's just that camera, so why not?
Exactly. Like, and it makes it look really good because clearly what they did was EO was taking her pictures for promos that they needed, and then they had Tony come in and they're like, okay, we're gonna just have you guys start doing your brawl, and we're just gonna set the camera to take as many pictures as possible.
Yep.
And it looked great because you could see all the parts that you needed to see.
Yeah. So I didn't see that, and then I didn't see the Cameron Grimes
I
promo, but
didn't
I've
either.
watched it after.
I haven't. I had no idea what it was. I didn't. I just heard, oh, I love Cameron Grimes, and that was it.
So basically, uh, it was the same promo from like same video package from last week.
Right.
And then at the end, it's him with his crashed Lamborghini. Like the front is busted up and that, and he goes, "I'll just buy another one," and that's the promo. And I'm like,
So it's
"What the
literally okay.
fuck was this?" But
I mean, it's neat because it's WWE kind of being meta and just being like, "Hey, we know what's going on in the real world, ha ha ha!" But at the same time, it's kind of weird.
yeah, but we head off to Tyler Rust versus Kushida, Malcolm Bivens at ringside. Match is going decently, and the finish, I'm still not sure what happened, because Kushida locks in that hoverboard lock, and Bivens is calling for the ref. The ref kind of looks at him a few times and then calls for the bell. I never see a tap from Tyler Rust. The announcement is by submission, but I never saw a tap, and it seemed like it was Bivens who called it off.
Yeah. So my assumption was Bivens was supposed to have a towel, and he didn't.
Yeah, it seemed really weird because like I said, the announcer was like by submission, but I was like, I
Yeah,
never saw Tyler tap.
and I think that that's probably going to be what goes forward. This is probably going to be a mini feud for Kushida here.
Just to kind of get himself back after.
Just yeah, something that he's hurt from the match from Johnny, he'll he'll use this to kind of get back. But it's just gonna end with Russ dying to Kushida.
Yeah, pretty well. We get a video package for Zoe Stark, who is supposed to be
Now,
debuting in singles
yeah,
action.
yeah, they were very vague about this. They claimed this was a debut, but showed packages from her in NXT. And I'm like, how is this a debut if she's already been in NXT? And then the commentators correct it when we
Yeah.
eventually get this match.
We get a promo from LA Knight, also known as Eli Drake, for those of you who are still
LA
not.
Knight.
Yeah. And it's pretty well just
I'm looking forward to what he's going to be doing.
Oh, I'm not by any means like disappointed. It seems to be like at his house.
Yeah, it
And
seems to be.
he basically just, the hottest free agent is off the market,
I
and
totally forgot he was a free agent.
yeah. Oh yeah, me too. Um, and that was about the extent of it. We get
Yeah. Now,
Zoe's.
okay, before we move on here, LA Knight, he's been in NXT before. Was he LA Knight then,
Was he
or
in
was he something
NXT?
else? Well, because they said, like, I've heard people say this is his return
He was in WWE from 2013 to
to 2014.
2014. Teamed up with John Moxley to take on the Big Show. Dark match on ECW. Uh, he reported that they were going medical testing. He reported to the Performance Center using the nickname Slate Randall.
Okay.
Dark match, only competed as an enhancement talent, losing to Mason Ryan, Baron Corbin, Mojo Rawley. He had a live event match, and then he was released from his contract. And he later explained the release was not due to not getting along with then head coach Bill DeMott, who there's been shit out about him. So,
Yeah. He had a losing effort with Gene Snitsky against Crime Time.
so
Something interesting. He went by El Hijo de Trump at one
sure,
point.
sure.
So, it's that Hijo. I don't know how to say that properly. Hio?
Hio?
El Hio. There's another person who has El Hio de something,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
can. But it's basically a play on that. But I'm like, why is it Trump?
Yeah, good question there. Anyways,
So yeah, it is actually technically his return,
technically,
just as a
yes.
different name.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he wasn't even on, from the looks of it, to be known wise, really on TV. So,
The one match that I mentioned in his losing effort was on ECW.
yeah, but as an
So
enhancement talent is what I
it seemed
mean.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like he was never like what I mean is he was never actually a prominent of any sorts on TV.
Oh, okay. I
So,
thought you were meaning he just wasn't on TV.
no, no, no. I meant like it wasn't prominent enough to
For
even be
sure.
like he's returning, because
Yeah.
nobody's gonna fucking remember him.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's a return, and that's just why I was curious. So
But yeah, we get Zoe Stark against Valentina Feroz. Solid match. I figured it was gonna be one really, really one sided. It wasn't fully.
no,
And then Stark won with an interesting. It was like a modified version of a GTS almost. She
I call it a
flipped her.
spinning GTS.
Yeah, yeah. She flipped her from the ground into the knee like GTS.
Yeah, but almost kind of hits her with the shin of her foot,
Yeah,
from what I saw. Like,
yeah. Think of what I believe it's Sammy Guevara. Similar to that, but just from standing, flipping over, and then
yeah,
it was interesting to say the least.
it was
Um,
effective because it got the win.
exactly. Um, we get a promo from Scarlett and Karrion Kross. Literally exactly what you'd expect from it from the news earlier in the day.
Yeah,
Santos is playing with time, and that's not his to play with. And
yeah. And then Cross is like, his destiny is already decided. He has two options: either take his beating or lose his title.
yep.
Like,
So, and then we move on to the main event, which has already been uh, talked about beforehand. Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, Oney Larkin against Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. O'Reilly wants nothing to do with Strong.
yeah,
And I
and it
mean,
makes sense.
solid fucking match. Solid
Yeah,
fucking match. Um,
absolutely.
near the end, we finally see Adam Cole. Finally.
Yeah, they kept hinting that Adam was there, but like it wasn't like we were gonna see him basically.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, so Adam comes out, takes Balor off the top rope, knocking him into the ref, and then we have Cole with a really awesome. It was like some kind of like a brain buster or something off the stairs, the steel steps,
Yeah.
to Kyle O'Reilly. Um, really nice. The title's in the ring. Strong picks up the title and goes to like almost seemingly like let Balor know. Balor fucking kicks him in the head. It's a big mess at the end, and then Pete Dunne comes in, bitter end to Finn Balor for the win. Um, and
Yeah.
and just as we figure the show's closing off, Balor's brushing the dust off. Here's fucking Cole out of nowhere with a goddamn super kick to Balor.
Yeah. So Cole left by the ramp and appeared from behind.
Yeah.
So does Cole have teleportation now?
Fuck no, he's sprinted.
They're like, okay, we need you to go to the other side of the building. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Hey Adam, how good's your cardio? Pretty good. Well, we're putting that
Go.
to the test. What do you mean? You need to be there in about 15 seconds. Wait, what?
Yeah, you need to be kicking Balor's head off now.
Oh, okay. And yeah, that closes the show, and then obviously we talked at the beginning of this podcast about the after show stuff of O'Reilly being stretchered out, which thankfully we know is all storyline and kayfabe.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
that was because of the brainbuster onto the steps for
yeah,
anybody who got confused
yeah,
as to
which
where that moment happened.
fucking solid move.
Mhm.
But we're gonna move on to the results from Dynamite now.
Quite an explosive show.
Yeah, it explosive. It just, oh man, it got you all wrapped up and stuck to it, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully
And I mean,
these,
this will be one that people will take to their grave. So
yeah, this will all make sense very soon for anybody who didn't watch the fucking show, and hasn't seen the news.
yeah,
We start the show
somehow.
off. We have Hangman Adam Page and Matt Hardy against the Hybrid 2, TH2, Jack Evans and Angelico. I want to see
Oh,
more
they're
from
such a
these
good team.
guys.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
I want to see so much more from these guys, which we've talked about it. 2 hours of TV, it's really hard. I know a lot of people are bitching about TH2, and Jack Evans has actually gone on record being like, sometimes you just don't fit into a story yet.
Yeah,
Because people were bitching like these guys fucking signed and they're not being used right. They're being treated as a joke. I'm like,
they're not being treated like a joke.
just because they're losing because it makes sense to the story doesn't mean they're being treated as a joke. These guys are fucking fantastic. They will be tag champions at some point.
Well,
It's
and knowing
just,
what Angelico can do in Lucha Underground, if you've never seen Jack Evans or Angelico, they have a really great showing in Lucha Underground. And that would be a great place to start with watching some stuff from them.
yeah, like they're fucking fantastic. And they just don't fit into the fold yet, but
Yeah,
they
and they
will.
will. I mean, we've seen them face off against the Bucks before, and it's one of the greatest matches that Dynamite, or I guess at the time it wasn't on Dynamite, AEW has ever had.
Yeah.
Like,
So, and to the people who want to complain about, people like them when AEW's got 2 hours of television, and it's not like you can build a shit ton on Dark. You can do a little bit, but you can't do a ton on Dark. Um,
because
in
not
the
everybody
way
sees it.
of networks and that. Let's look at WWE for a second. They've got how many hours of TV a week? And there's
3
people,
on the first day.
yeah, they've got so many hours of TV, and we see a quarter of the talent. So don't even.
Speaking of that, something I noticed while watching Raw this week, there's over an hour of commercials in a 3-hour Raw.
That makes me want to vomit. Okay. um, but these four guys put on a solid showing.
Oh yeah.
Matt Hardy ends up picking up the win for his team on Angelico after a twist of fate.
And
Uh,
then the other shoe drops for Matt.
yeah, Matt grabs the mic. He's talking about the money that both of them are gonna make, the billions of dollars in that. Paige takes the mic and asks Matt if he looked at the contract.
Oh
Um,
no, I just sent it right off to the legal team.
which after this segment, we'll talk about what happens here in a second. Matt posts on Twitter being like, "Of course I knew. Like I saw the segment," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, why were you so like oblivious in that moment there?" Like,
Well, it's pretty obvious when the reveal happens
yes,
because it. But at the time, it's like, well, are you in on it?
yeah,
Like,
there's moments even by the end of it. There's a moment of like, but was he?
yeah,
Like, was he
like
fully in on this? Or,
it
like, he just
seems
saw
like
the
yeah,
paper swap and maybe he didn't actually know what the like,
he didn't know what it was, but he knew something was gonna happen, so he made a swerve.
yeah, exactly. No,
Uh
you can't use swerve. You can't use swerve. No,
oh,
no, no,
sorry.
no.
A rib.
There you go. That should be fine. Yeah,
Uh,
WWE Network, don't sue us.
uh.
Um,
Anyway, so Adam asks a member of the Jags legal team to present the contract to Matt. Matt quickly takes a read through the contract. And he goes, "This isn't a talent contract. This is a
but
match contract."
hold on, aren't you gonna
Uh,
mention who the legal team for the Jags
well, I
was?
guess I could. I guess I could do that. It's the Jags mascot. I don't know his name.
Jackson DeVille.
Ja- really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Anyway,
you not know that?
I did not know
If I'm
that.
not mistaken, it's Jackson DeVille.
I guess I can't really say shit. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure Tampa Bay's is Thunderbug, so
yeah, Jackson DeVille.
anyway, he gets the contract for Matt to read. And it's just it's a match that Adam Page versus Matt Hardy at Revolution. And if Adam wins, he will get 100% of Matt's earnings for all of 2021.
First quarter
Me,
of 2021.
which is all of 2021 so far. We haven't had the first quarter of 2021
Okay,
finished.
well, when you say all of 2021
Yeah,
versus I thought you meant all of it. I'm like, well, no, 2021 is 4 different quarters, but
for
I
sure.
get what
But
you mean now.
yeah, because we haven't had any other quarters. It's for all of Matt's current earnings up until this point of 2021.
Yeah.
And then Matt gets on the mic and he goes, "Okay, well, if we're that's basically he just gets all flustered, like we said, uh, and gets mad, and he's like, well, why don't you put up your earnings too then, if you think this is such a good idea?" And Adam's
Yeah.
like, all right, okay, let's do a money match then.
Yeah, you put up your first quarter earnings, I'll put up my first quarter earnings, and we're gonna do a big money match. Um,
Yep.
and then the Jags mascot attacks Paige, and it turns out that Isaiah Cassidy was under the mask the whole time. By God!
And -1 sends in the
Yeah,
cavalry.
here fucking comes Dark Order and -1. Like just
So
-1, just calling them in.
yeah, well, it's like Cassidy and TH2 jumping Adam.
Yeah, yeah, with
Uh, and,
Matt.
and and so I guess that's kind of important, but it's really not because -1 comes out and just sends the Dark Order out, just one after another. Get in there, meat man, get in there, all of you.
Yeah,
Like,
and then we have a moment where it's Matt Hardy and Five in the ring, and Five is just not impressed because if you've watched BTE and stuff, you totally understand with everything that's going on, and they start fighting. Matt ends up kind of taking out Five, ducks a buckshot lariat, and gets the fuck out of there. And we have Paige and the Dark Order kind of standing face to face in the ring, and Paige is this ends with Paige joining the Dark Order, right?
oh, it has to. It has to.
Like this has to. Like it's breaking my heart that he's not yet.
But it's such a perfect build because it makes so much sense that this is what we're gonna do, that it's not what we have done yet.
Yeah,
Like,
and I really like Hangman. As they're doing the promo and that, him going, somebody taught me how to always keep papers on me, and it was really awesome. I'm enjoying it on for so many different reasons.
I will forever love AEW for just the reasons that they give fans what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm loving that they're still doing this stuff for -1 Brody Jr. I I never
They
have an
can
issue
do
when
this
I
forever.
see the Dark Order pop up. If -1 is there, it just puts a smile on my face.
It really does.
It really I like it.
If anybody has an issue with -1 being on Dynamite, you can just stop watching Dynamite
Yeah.
because
Do
he's gonna
yourself a
be there
favor
forever.
first. Do yourself a favor first. Go and watch the AEW Unrestricted podcast with Amanda Huber, Brody Lee's
Yeah.
now sadly widow.
Yes.
And just listen and understand why he's there. If you still
Yeah.
disagree, just stop watching. I
Yeah,
have
exactly.
no issue saying that.
Yep. And
Um,
when he eventually becomes a wrestler, he's gonna come out with that red TNT title and take on whoever's the TNT champion and take that belt from him.
that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. And Cody will take it upon himself to train him too.
Oh, and you know what? Thinking about it, Cody will be the one that's the current TNT champion that loses to -1.
Cody retires to -1.
That wouldn't no, because Cody's career is nowhere near the end.
Cody says otherwise.
I get that, but it's wrestling. Cody's career is nowhere near the end.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I mean, you're talking 9 to 10 years still.
I mean, even still, Dustin, like,
Well, yeah, but they're all different, and
I get that, yeah, but
Cody's even stated like, within the next 5-6 years we'll see where things stand.
I don't see
So
him retiring without winning the AEW championship, the world championship.
I bet you he does.
But the
I
thing
bet you
is
he retires
how do
without
they
it.
do it? No, he needs to win it. He needs to.
Yeah, but he won't. They will not go back on that. I will lay money down on it now, and the money can sit on the table until the day he retires.
I don't think I think they will, and it'll be a way that makes perfect sense.
I bet you he has no issue going out without it.
I bet he has no issue with it, but it's not what needs to happen
But why does it need to happen?
because
His
he never
career's not going to be defined by whether or
no,
not he wins that world title. So, and
he got
it's
his one world title with the NWA championship, but he never
he
got
also
the
won Ring of Honors.
yes, but he never got the big one, the WWE one, and he's never going to get that. I think the only way to properly wind down Cody's career is to at least give him one run with it.
The only thing is though, there's not a single way in the world they can do it without causing shit because of the stipulation, so I
I
don't
think
see
the
why
champion
bother.
challenges him.
But it doesn't matter because he's still challenging for the belt. It doesn't
But
matter how he
no,
winds
so
up in the
okay,
match. He cannot challenge for the belt under any circumstance.
I think so. There'll be a big build up. Cody will be like, "No, I told you, I lost my match. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it." And then they'll start like attacking his family, doing whatever, and it'll be this match that's like, okay, if you want it to only be a title match, fine.
I like I said, I will lay money down on it that he never wins that world title.
Maybe not that version. It'll look different, but
He does not win the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. But anyways, moving on here. We have a backstage interview with the Inner Circle,
yes.
Santana and Ortiz talking about the title match coming up and whatnot. And then MJF starts talking about Sammy, shitting on Sammy, and Jericho just tells Max to shut up, which, I mean, we were all thinking it, so thank you, Jericho.
And then again is like, we watched all the shows, we know what you're doing.
Yeah,
We're
like, we
not
saw it.
stupid.
We're not an idiot. And like, he blames Max a little bit, but then he also does turn on to Sammy, and tells Sammy the biggest mistake of his life was quitting the Inner Circle, and Jericho says Sammy is dead to him and hopes to never see him again. So, but we know that's not the case.
Yeah, we know that like Sammy is gonna come back and have a huge feud with MJF and then Jericho.
Yeah, it'll be
But
good.
yeah, it'll be
Uh,
really good.
we get a recap of the Japanese side of the women's eliminator tournament, and we head off into another round one matchup. We have the
We also get
NWA.
announced that the US and Japanese side will be finished on YouTube.
Yeah, I have comments about that too. But anyways, we get the NWA Women's World Champion Serena Deeb against Riho. Riho is competing in an AEW match for the first time in 48 weeks. And this match is just fucking great.
Yeah.
I'm I don't think I have a bad thing to say about this match.
No, it was a really just masterclass of two women just being able to do what they need to do for a match.
And this is why I'm angry, because these are not the only two talent on this roster that can do this. So why is it the only match we get? But anyways, these two fucking...
Well, it's not the only. We did get the other one, but yeah, I do see your point.
Well, I mean, in general though, like, look at the rest of the card. Like, we've got so many matches, and
Yes.
it's the only one they can fit on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
Like, but they tear it right up. It was absolutely phenomenal. And Riho ends up picking up the win after a series of back and forth pin combinations, and really good, because the thing is, it brings Serena Deeb out of this not looking weak, and it brings Riho out of this, still looking really good for her first match back in 48 weeks.
It just would have been really, really nice to see Serena versus Thunder again.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you want to see that, just watch NWA in a couple weeks. We know that's where we're going with that.
Probably, yeah.
Like, we don't need that once again on AEW TV. In my opinion, at the time being, because yeah, like I said, that's more than likely the direction we're gonna go with NWA, and we're gonna get that again at some point there.
Sure.
But yeah, and then we get what was touted as another training video package from Jade and Shaq, and it's literally just them shooting hoops.
Yeah.
It pissed me off.
That's how you get ready for wrestling.
Yep.
Shoot basketball.
Yep.
I just wanted to see Shaq miss one shot, because like they kept showing Shaq doing free throws. I don't know if anybody ever watched Shaq in basketball. I didn't really, but I know he wasn't good at free throws.
I don't know. I have some knowledge in just about most sports. I've got something. Like, I don't watch a shit ton of sports. Like, I watch some NFL, I watch some NHL.
You have some shit on your shirt.
Like, sure, cool. Go Habs go. I watch some baseball, and then even throwing in something like NASCAR. Like, I can tell you probably a fair bit about NASCAR and that, but I got nothing about basketball. Nothing.
Yeah, so
I can probably tell you more about golf, and like, I can't stand
I can tell you that
golf.
we had a former teacher who made Tiger Woods' pro PGA golf.
Yes, he was one of the lead producers.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat.
On that, Madden and FIFA. Like,
yeah.
holy shit. Anyways,
But Just us name drop, or not even name dropping, just fact dropping quick. Just
Yeah, we'll just fact drop. That's all we need to do. There you go. But yeah, I know nothing about basketball, so I mean,
no,
if
I
you
just
say he wasn't good, I'll take your word on it. But I cannot sit here and be like, yeah, you're right, because I don't
I just
fucking
know
know.
that when Shaq would take shots, it was never in the free throw position.
Yeah, well, I know he was very much so known for his dunks.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Slam
that's
dunk.
that's about all I know.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
that's about it. And then it
I know
moves on
Space
to,
Jam. The Space Jam count.
I think that's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, oh, I knew it wasn't Shaq, but I'm saying that's about the extent of basketball I know is Space
I
Jam.
thought you were saying that was Shaq.
No! I knew it was Jordan. My brother-in-law's a huge Michael Jordan fan.
Oh,
I'm
it's
well
funny.
aware. Oh,
But let's move
Jesus.
on. Orange Cassidy with Chuck
Fuck.
Taylor versus Luther with Serpentico. This match is really quick.
It's really quick.
I mean, I knew it would be. We had Luther basically start out strong, and then Orange just takes control. Chuck just keeps stopping Serpentico from messing with Orange Cassidy. So this is clearly just going to be a tag team match next week.
Yeah. And
Uh,
Serpentico at one point takes out Chuck.
does he? I didn't see
Yeah,
that
yeah, he
happen.
attacks him and tosses him into the stage wall.
Oh, okay.
Um,
And then nothing happens from there because Orange Cassidy wins.
so, and then this next segment, yes, it's what we've been asking for. It made it, yeah. So we have Team Taz come out, but it's only Taz, Brian Cage, and Taz's son Hook, which Taz
Yes.
addresses in the first few lines of the promo. It's because of the weather situation down in the States. You know, Texas got a bit of snow and the whole state fucking died.
Oh yeah, well, like it was the first time ever, uh, in like 20 years or something like that, that the entire state of Texas had a red warning zone for snow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't the first time they've gotten snow. I have cousins down there,
No,
and
no, for
they're.
sure.
I mean, it's always a surprise when Texas does get snow, and like I'm not trying to make a joke. I know it's a very serious situation down there, but it's just the fact that like Texas got a ton of snow, and like the whole state just got fucked. Power outages, and like it was, it's nuts.
It's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's funny because here we got pretty much the exact
Oh my
same
god, we
snow,
got so much fucking snow, and it
and
we carried
our
on
world
like
is still
normal.
fine. Yeah,
We carried
like
on like normal. It's Canada.
if if I opened this window, there's a wall of snow covering my window because I'm in the basement of apartment.
Yeah, like there was a fuck ton of snow. Yeah. My niece and nephew were quite fucking happy about it, and they got to beat the shit out of me in the snow yesterday. So I'm sore today, but
Well,
but yeah, so
win some, you lose some.
pretty well. But yeah, so it's only Taz, Cage, and Hook, and Taz calls out Sting, and I purposefully in my notes every week have to put a bunch of G's on the end of Sting, and when I read it in my head, I read it like Shivani. So and Sting gets right in the ring, no hesitation. Taz is, you know, making comments about like, yeah, you got the bat and stuff like that. Sting tosses the bat aside, takes the jacket off, and my next note is, oh shit. Sting tosses the jacket at Cage, starts just hammering on Cage. Hook comes in from behind with the bat, puts it around Sting's neck, and Cage hits Sting, and we get
Uh-oh.
Cage picks Sting up and just fucking power bombs him.
So the only way I can describe this moment is if anybody's ever watched Avengers, the first movie, where Hulk slams Loki into the ground, yeah, like a rag doll, and then it just zooms in on Loki's face, and he's just, uh, uh, That's what
That's
they do to Sting.
yeah, and Sting just lays there. Now, granted, by the closing moments of the segment, he is getting himself back up. But the nice part about this is it makes Cage look strong still.
And it
Uh
shows that Sting hasn't taken a power bomb in a long time.
exactly. Like we're like it's Sting, but this isn't the Sting we all know. This isn't older Sting. It's going to be a different Sting, and it's going to be a matter of how much is Sting at this point still able to do. And obviously come Revolution, where it's not going to be Sting takes one move and he's done. We know we're going
No.
to get a lot from Sting. But, I mean, that's the first bump Sting has taken since 2015.
Yep.
Night of Champions.
When Seth Rollins retired him, supposedly, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that AEW is able to rectify this, because I don't think WWE would have brought Sting back.
WWE would have never, even if he was cleared, WWE wouldn't have, which pisses
No.
me off.
Yeah, even with Edge and even Christian coming back, there is zero chance that Sting would have at all.
Well, I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm a huge fucking Sting fan. Like, I mean, I calling you the night he debuted at Winter is Coming. I watch it and I get the goosebumps of it.
Well, I had to tell you to stay quiet because you were a little bit ahead of me, and I'm
I
like,
was
my
I was
screen
about
just went
15
black.
seconds.
Don't
Yeah.
you tell me.
Yeah,
Like,
the name popped up on the screen and I grabbed my phone, I hit the call button, you answered, and you're like, it's like the video's just playing, shut up. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, because I know what was gonna come out of your mouth was it Sting. I'm like, you shut your mouth.
I literally, you're lucky I held off for a second, because when you picked up, I was going to do the, it's Sting! And you were like, I'm not there.
Yeah, because I knew it was gonna be a big reveal when the lights went out and you started calling. I was like, dude, no, just shut up for a second. Just let me do this.
It was fucking huge. Oh my god. But
Yeah.
anyways, that was crazy. That ends that segment. We have Eddie Kingston, Butcher, Blade, Bunny, with just a segment talking about the main event. Eddie asked for the match, shit like that.
And then we cut to WWE Champion Kenny Omega.
Wait, sorry, did you say WWE Champion Kenny Omega?
I did.
And so did JR. Good old JR, Jim Ross. Yeah, JR had a slip up, called Kenny the WWE champion. And we talked about it last night because of what happens at the end of the show. We called and talked, and JR worked for that company for a lot of fucking years. He worked everything from talent relations to commentary to everything in between. The man wrestled a few matches. He wasn't a wrestler. He didn't have good matches.
He
But
was
in the record books, JR has wrestled in matches. And so when he said it, I chuckled. I know people blew gasket online, and I'm like,
well, and they were also like hinting, oh, this is the sign that they're actually doing their working relationship. I'm like, are you dumb?
or it was either they're doing their working relationship, or this is AEW trying to push WWE to I'm like, you fucking people.
Or it's JR having a simple mistake on live TV.
Which has happened.
It has.
You gotta remember, JR's been in this a long time. JR's older. This shit
and he
happens.
suffered multiple health issues.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff. Like, just let it slide. It was funny. It happened. He put out the tweet. It was heat of the moment.
Yeah.
It was like what show was it? It was one pay-per-view, and he called it the name of a WWE pay-per-view. But I can't place it. Like, they were on pay-per-view. It was still when fans were in.
It was Full Gear.
Was it Full Gear? And he called it, I don't even remember.
Full Throttle?
Full Throttle or something.
No.
Or was it In Your House? I can't remember.
It's Beach Bash, and he kept calling it it was Beach Break, and he kept calling it Bash at the Beach. or something like that.
No, no,
That's
no,
something that
because they had Bash at the Beach before the
there
Jericho
was.
Cruise.
Right,
It
there
was
was.
a pay-per-view because I can see them stand it like where they are for the pay-per-views, but I can't place what he called it. He just misspoke and he called it a WWE pay-per-view on the pay-per-view. It was either Full Gear or Revolution because it was when fans were still like there. Um
All that when I search up JR calls AEW pay-per-view WWE pay-per-view, it's just Jim Ross calls Kenny Omega WWE champion.
that's all you're gonna find. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna find much of anything. Uh but I don't. Yeah, like I said, I know for sure that they were still in front of a full audience.
For the AEW pay-per-views.
Um so but that's about all I know. Like it was definitely Full Gear or Revolution. I can't
So we've
place
had
it.
Double or Nothing, Fighter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, All Out, Full Gear, Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, Full Gear, Revolution, Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
So I just
um, it's got to be at Full Gear.
well that's what I'd say.
Kenny versus Moxley at the Lights Out match.
Yeah, cuz like I said, I can see them there. Like I can see the crowd behind them. I just I can't place it. I can't place it one bit. Um so yeah, I'm just trying to find it real quick and then
Yeah, me too.
we'll get to it. But
Uh,
I don't don't really have much here, sadly. So
yeah, unfortunately, I can't find it either.
I don't know. I'll rewatch them both. I have them both on Fight. I'll rewatch them and see if I can find it at some point.
Yeah, it's not like it's very important. It's just something that's for sure interesting to remember.
But yeah, so anyways, we go to Kenny. Kenny is with a bunch of children. Callis and Nakazawa are there.
Yeah.
Kenny reads from the Young Bucks book, Killing the Business.
Are they in love?
Are they in love? Yeah. And he specifically reads about himself too, which I
He
find
reads
is funny.
one sentence and then Don Callis says, "All right, it's time to go."
And so they start to head off, they're like, "Was it good?" "Yeah, it's good." One of the kids comes up and says to Callis, "Can Uncle Kenny play?" And no, he's busy, but like Nakazawa can. And
Did you
Nakazawa's
see what they left on the chair?
the freaking title belt. They walked away from it. Um
Pretty
it-
Platinum was just sitting in some school as they were walking away.
yeah. Yep. And then freaking
Yeah, as Nakazawa was being murdered by
yeah,
children.
Nakazawa comes up like, "I'll play with you," and the kids are like, "We hate Nakazawa," and they start beating him up. I'm like, freaking okay.
Yeah, it was
Um,
just bad.
and then we move
Well, I
on.
guess not bad. It was funny, but like just weird.
Yeah. Publicity is basically where they were going with it. Callis trying to get him good publicity, and then yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Nakazawa getting beat up made me laugh.
Yes.
But next up we have Santana and Ortiz with the Inner Circle at ringside against the Young Bucks for the All Elite Wrestling World Tag Team titles. Uh, the Buck's parents are at ringside as well,
Mama
which
and
is an
Papa Buck.
interesting. Papa Buck, Papa and Mama Buck are at ringside.
He
Um,
sings some of their songs, doesn't
yep,
he? The BTE one.
yep, yeah. He
Yeah.
did a handful of the tunes for them. Um, Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the Good Brothers are watching backstage as well, which is an interesting note.
Did you notice what Nick did with his title versus what Matt did with his?
I can't say I did.
So Matt hands the title to Rick Knox. Nick tosses the title into the corner. Knox hangs one title up, gives it over to the things, and the other title sits in the corner the rest of the match.
Did it really? I didn't even notice
Yep.
that. God damn it.
Yep.
And so interesting note here again, we've been mentioning it. So AEW in fact did have people in the audience last night. Okay.
Okay.
Cuz I specifically looked it up. But they are not showing the crowd.
Probably because they've been doing some pre-taped ones, so they don't want to run the
Yeah.
risk of what has happened already.
But it's very interesting cuz they keep showing shots, and the thing is there's no way there's as many people in the crowd as they were having. Because they are just like they were beforehand. When you get like not a direct shot of the audience, but kind of the shot from the stage looking at Daly's place, looking at the seating, you could see people. You can't now.
Maybe the restrictions have changed and they're not allowed to have people in the lower bowl.
Potentially. I keep noticing it, but after they gave a few shots and I'm like, is there nobody there again? I looked up on Twitter and there were people posting from their seats at Daly's place waiting for Dynamite to start, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I imagine they must have just pushed. They've had to push them back farther.
So, well, if that's the case, that's fine. I keep finding it really interesting. But
For sure, yeah.
but this match just absolutely great.
I
MJF at one point gets the inner circle kicked out. He goes to hit I want to say it was Nick.
something yeah something
And
like that.
Knox catches them and kicks the whole inner circle out.
Yeah, and the inner circle's like yelling at Knox, but at the same time they're kind of yelling at MJF as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like what the hell, dude?
yeah, because MJF didn't no way try to hide what he just did. Like
Yeah.
Knox wasn't distracted. He was talking to like Matt or Nick, whichever one wasn't about to be punched by MJF, and then turns around and literally sees MJF up with his arm. Like
Yeah, I'm just trying to find, yeah, see there's no more specifically about Dynamite, but there's photos from people
for sure.
there.
The one thing I found really interesting in this as well, the Bucks hit a Doomsday device, and I can't remember the last time they hit a Doomsday device.
Well, okay. Um but like this match is just great. These guys are going at it. I actually at a few points was like, holy shit, they're gonna put the titles on Proud and Powerful.
And it
Because the
wouldn't
thing
be
is,
weird because it's been a decent run so far for the Bucks. It wouldn't be bad if they had ended the run already.
well, the thing is I was at a few points like it would make sense too, because going along with the storyline of the inner circle, BTE, Sammy's vlog, we know they're all kind of canon. And if you watched Sammy's vlog this week, which I don't know if you did fully or not, at
Not
the
yet,
end
no.
Santana and Ortiz confront Sammy and they're like, bro, like what the fuck? And he's like, no, like don't come at me, like you've got to be blind if you're not seeing what's happening here. Like, look at it. You guys are the fucking tag team of the inner circle, and are you guys the main focus? No, you're not. Like, open your eyes, see what's happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, Santana and Ortiz pick up the win, face Jericho and MJF. We have another two weeks of build up. It could work. It could
Have Sammy
really,
cost Jericho and MJF the match.
yeah, like it could really work. But we end
I mean,
up,
we could still have that happen. Have Sammy cost Jericho and
oh
MJF the
yes,
match. But
I would assume that's where it's going one way or
I think so.
another. But I was just like, it would be really interesting to have that inner clash with the inner circle and shit like
Well,
that.
because then the Bucks could just go off and take the Impact titles from the Good Brothers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's clearly where we're going with that as well.
Yeah.
From what
I still
I
want
can see, at least.
I still want Bucks against Motor City Machine Guns as soon as Shelly is
Well, once the
vaccinated and
Good
ready to
Brothers
go.
lose the titles to the Bucks, that the Bucks will have to be on Impact
I
Wrestling.
I want that. I want the they show it during Impact's commercials on Twitch, that ladder match
Yeah.
between Jen Me and the Motor City Machine Guns. I want that again. I want them to do
Yeah.
that again, and sure, you know, trying to recreate something that's already happened. But the thing is, we're talking years later. All four of those guys are way more talented now than they were back then. And I mean, the
Absolutely.
talent they had back then was nuts.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
my one thing, I've said this before, the Bucks, if they ever are on Impact, they have to be Gen Me, but when they're on AEW, they have to be the Bucks. Like and there's no mention of it switching.
I I'm gonna be intrigued to see what they do because they can't not play that somehow. I don't see them coming out on Impact and fully being Gen Me, but I can see them
It'd be
coming out
funny.
to like the Gen Me Tron and the music and them being like, wow, that hasn't happened in a while. So
or like they come out and like
Max
they like
and
do their
Jeremy Buck.
yeah, and they get announced like that and they do their pose and then they hear the names get announced and they look behind them and go, "No." Like
Like what? What? Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's got to be some kind of a mention like that. They have to.
yeah, they
But
can't not because I think they're the only team or group, whatever you want to call that, has history and impact that is not under the same names
at least
that I
not
can really
something very,
recall.
very similar at the very
Y-
least.
Yeah, exactly. Like it
Yeah.
is an entirely different gimmick. While the wrestling was the same, they were two different gimmicks.
Yeah. But yeah, so Nick pins Ortiz with an inside cradle. You know, a good way to make Power and Powerful not look weak, you know.
Yeah,
Although we've seen a lot of inside cradle finishes on all the shows.
on every single show. Yeah, the surprise roll up. Simon Miller makes a joke that it's the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment.
It is. It
It
is
really
a hundred
is.
percent.
It really is.
But the inner circle hits the ring, attacks the Bucks, and they keep showing Callis, Good Brothers, and Kenny backstage, and Kenny's like, "We gotta get out there. We gotta get out there and help." And Don's just like, "No, it's okay." And
And he
I'm like,
whispers to the Good Brothers to go do something.
and they fucking take their sweet time. We
So
head back to
Cutler
the ring,
actually
and
during this comes out to
yes,
make the save,
yeah,
which
oh
is
yeah, Cutler's
great.
gonna make the save.
Well, he tries, good
And
on him.
Hager
He
fucking kills him.
yeah. And that turns into a match that'll happen next week.
We literally watch Brandon Cutler die on the ramp. Come on.
Yeah. But you know what? At the very least, we got something because, like, that's something I've wanted to see before.
Oh,
Is Cutler's
100%.
never come out to save the Bucks before, even though they have this history.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so when he came out, I was like, okay, that's really good. And then it cuts back again to the Don Callis and Good Brothers and all them. And then it goes again back to this big brawl, and then the Good Brothers walk out, and the Inner Circle just
Walk.
leaves.
Walk.
Yeah, but the Inner Circle just leaves. Like no physical altercation between Good Brothers and it. So fucking Don Callis has the Inner Circle in his back pocket.
Well, Callis and Jericho.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. It all fucking works.
Like,
And an interesting note, we have an altercation between Chris Jericho and Papa Buck on the outside. Papa Buck shoves Jericho. And I was honestly like, don't hit him. Don't hit him.
don't hurt him, don't hurt him.
But very, very interesting bit there. And then
Yeah.
we get a video from Brandy saying because of circumstances like they can't do this great big thing that they want to do. But they're gonna do the gender reveal right now, which was really awesome. And I love how
It
she's
was
like,
really cool.
Cody does, like, I'm the only one who knows. Cody doesn't even know because he's got a big mouth. I'm like, Cody
It's
will even
and
admit that.
so then they come out to Cody's music, and the lights are changing between pink and blue.
Which was
Uh,
really cool.
it was really, really nice, and I honestly thought it was going to be a boy. That was my assumption, just because that's what I thought. And it's a girl.
Yeah, yeah. So straight up, right away, like that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like congratulations. Now finding out the gender, like that's awesome. You could see Cody. Cody was like, I'm on TV, holding this in, and then
oh
he
yeah,
fucking goes to commentary. Like, what a professional that man
yeah.
is.
Like, but I think there was a quick moment where he did go backstage with Brandy and had a quick moment with her, and then came back to the
Yeah,
announce table, because there was a good moment between Matt and Mike Seidel's entrance and before Cody came on commentary.
yeah. So,
So,
but yeah, that was really awesome. That'll be great for them.
or sorry, it was actually FTR's entrance, because
FTR comes out as they were heading off. Yeah,
yeah, and so while that's happening, Cody probably has his moment and then goes and talks to Brandy, or
yeah,
to the announcers and stuff. So
yeah. So we get FTR versus Matt and Mike Seidel, and before we get into the match, um, there's an announcement as for Revolution. There's going to be a 6-man ladder match, the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Winner gets a shot at the TNT title, and Scorpio Sky, Pentagon, and Cody are already announced.
yeah, it was pretty
So
good.
that's
That's a pretty
interesting.
But they did it really weirdly. The way they started to talk about it, like Excalibur just kind of talks to Cody, goes, "Yeah, so you've got a match to announce, this Face of the Revolution ladder match," and Cody's like, "Yep,"
Yep, I do.
like, and that was basically it, like, because Excalibur took all the information from Cody, like, and just blurted it out in his question. I'm like, You just answered your question
Yeah.
in your question,
Good job,
like."
Excalibur. I enjoy Excalibur's commentary, but sometimes we need Taz out there to slap him.
Yeah.
Because, Taz is so much better.
Taz would have just been like, Excalibur, isn't that what you just told him what he's doing? Like,
Oh. But FTR and the Seidel brothers was really, really good.
it was.
Having never seen Mike Seidel before, very impressed. I mean, him and his brother obviously work really well together. I didn't even know Matt's brother wrestled. So
I didn't know Matt had a brother.
so I was really impressed with my first ever showing of Mike Seidel. Great match between them. FTR picked up the win though. Dax
With the big rig.
yeah, Dax pins Mike after the big rig. Um and it seems like they're calling on Doc Samson to come in. FTR grabbed the med kit bag from him, grab scissors, and go to cut Mike's hair, which I think is a
um,
thing we're going
so
with here.
Cash struggles to find the scissors, and Dax clearly knows where they were planted. So he just grabs the bag, opens the front pocket, and grabs the scissors out. Like, it was so funny. Like,
But the lights go out, and we have a video on the screen. It's the mask of Luchasaurus sitting there with the horns cut off, and obviously Luchasaurus standing in the background. And as he turns, the lights hitting just right. You can see the horns, new
and they're
mask.
bigger.
Yeah. Um. And lights come back on, and Jurassic Express in the ring. Take out FTR. Uh And we get an announcement after this, which was like, oh shit. Um, so I believe it was on the March 3rd episode they said. We will have FTR and Tully Blanchard making his return to the ring against Jurassic Express. Tully was not there, by the way, due to, once again, the weather conditions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. But yeah, that'll be interesting. Obviously, we talked about this quickly too. The Tully's spot is going to be relegated to working with Marco,
More than
but
likely.
that's fine. Like, it's not like we need him to have another 5-star match because that's not Tully anymore.
Well,
Like
exactly. I think I looked it up. I said, what was he, 67?
something like that. Yeah,
So I mean, it'll still be cool. It works. I've already seen people bitching about it.
but they're not bitching about Sting.
No, I'm sure it's the same. Well, I saw people bitching about Sting too.
Okay,
People,
fair. I was gonna
we
say,
we we talked
like,
about it earlier in the show. People will literally find anything to complain about.
I
I'm
was gonna say
sorry.
if they're gonna bitch about Tully, they need to bitch about Sting though.
Sure,
Like,
sure, we can complain that we've got a lot of new talent, and I agree. I do agree, but the thing is they're being put in situations where it works and it's going to build new
I was gonna
talent.
say, Sting is in a segment where he's the only, besides Taz, he's the only established person.
Yeah, he is.
Really, like
He is
Brian Cage
100%.
has been established in the North American market, but he's really never been on TV besides Impact and Lucha.
Ricky Starks had a name on the indies, but there's a good chance he didn't know who he was. And Darby Allin, I did not know myself who Darby Allin was until he was on AEW.
Yeah, so you cannot say that they are taking spots from new talent. They
Yeah,
are, in fact, boosting new talent.
yeah. And then try and call me a hypocrite when I bitch about Goldberg. I'm sorry. Goldberg showed up and was like, I want a title match, and he was just there. So fight
Goldberg
me.
comes in, takes the main spot. Sting comes in and takes a mid card spot.
Yeah. And even if Sting gets a TNT championship match, it's just gonna be to elevate Darby.
It will, yeah. He's
I'm
not going to
sorry,
beat Darby.
McIntyre.
He might quickly just put some prestige on the TNT title, but and then lose it back to Darby in
Yeah.
a better match. But
But the thing is somebody like McIntyre. McIntyre did not need to face Goldberg
no,
for any reason. It did not make McIntyre more credible. It did not do anything. So
especially when he had already beaten the likes of Randy Orton.
he fucking
Like,
beat Brock Lesnar for the title.
well, yeah, Brock Lesnar too, but like, honestly, I look at Randy Orton as a more significant win over somebody than Brock because Brock shows up, does his thing, leaves. We know that's Brock. Randy, he's consistent.
That's
So
very fair. Um, but yeah, we get a quick promo from John Moxley.
yes.
Um, and he makes an interesting comment in this. Uh, which I don't know if you want to talk about.
Which one are you talking about?
The grave, having to.
I don't remember
Are
that. I
you?
didn't write that point down. I didn't.
Well, it's what ties back around into the final moments of the show.
Well, yeah, I get that, but I don't remember him saying anything about a grave.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bury them, put them in the grave to.
Oh, right. Yeah, now I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
just basically talking about the forthcoming match and whatnot, and that it's gonna take him, putting people, burying people and whatnot to finally
Yeah.
get to where he needs to be.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't remember that.
Going and breaking Kenta's neck and shit like that. Um,
Yeah.
and then we get the main event, Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade, accompanied by the Bunny, against John Moxley, Lance Archer, who is accompanied by Jake Roberts, obviously, and Ray Phoenix. Um, Interesting thing, Mox, Archer, and Phoenix all come out off to the side together as one, which was really awesome.
Phoenix's mask.
Yeah, that's
Holy.
I believe that's the same one that him and Penta wore at the first All Out before the Escalera de la Muerte match with the Bucks.
Okay. See,
Yeah,
because that mask, it looked like it was going to be similar to Ray's, where he'd pull it off and then his real mask was underneath it.
yeah.
He didn't. He wrestled in it.
No, he didn't. He pulled it off. It was sitting on the stage right beside him.
Well, he wrestled in it for a little bit because when he was punching um, Kingston on the outside, he was in that mask.
Well, yeah, because they started with a brawl.
Yeah, well, but yeah, for a long time he was in that mask.
That mask
Like
came off the second the bell rang. It was sitting
I,
on the stage.
for the longest time I never saw I saw it on him, so I don't know where I miss
Yeah,
saw it or whatever.
that's just a cover up mask.
Yeah,
Because
I thought
like
it
I said,
was,
that
but
that
yeah,
was the same things that him and Penta came out
yeah,
in
that's
at
what I
All
thought. But
Out.
when I saw them start fighting, like, because even Tony commented saying like, "Oh, look at the mask he's wearing," like
Yeah.
hinting that it was the one he was actually wrestling in. And for a while, I thought he was in that the whole time.
Well, when he
But
came out,
maybe
I
not.
knew exactly what it was, remembering because I actually just
Yeah,
watched
I
All
knew
Out
it. I known I had
about a
seen that
week ago.
before.
um, but yeah, really solid match. I literally have in my notes here like Penta, or not Penta, sorry, Ray Phoenix is just so fucking good.
Yeah,
When he comes in and gets a lot of good shots there. Um, the match is really great. We get a spot in it which I mentioned because I want to keep pointing it out just to show how often it happens because I'm getting annoyed. We get a bit of a move fest again where it's one
yeah,
guy in hits a move, and they broke it up a bit too at the end. It's just it's something now that I'm like taking notes and analyzing these shows more than just kind of watching it as I was. I'm noticing it so much more in these multi-man
yeah,
matches, and I understand it's a spot that happens, but it's one of those things where it makes it feel less and less important. Um
exactly.
but match is great, and Mox takes a spinning back fist from Kingston just on the jaw and just
Yep,
turns around, paradigm shifts Kingston and pins him.
yeah.
Um
It was a real good match.
yeah.
That spot looked really good too.
Mox ends up grabbing a mic, and before he gets a chance to say anything, Good Brothers come out, start attacking Moxley, and here comes
Excuse me.
Kenny. And Kenny tells Mox, uh, you know, I know you want your rematch, you got the rematch clause, whatever. And you'll get your rematch. Hell, I'll even give it to you at Revolution. But the thing is if we have a one-on-one match and you lose, you're gonna whine and bitch and complain, and whatnot, and just keeps going off on him. And he pulls out some papers and lets Moxley know he received his belated Valentine's gift from Tony Khan, and it just so happens that his belated Valentine's gift from Tony Khan is their match at Revolution for the All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship will be contested in an exploding barbed wire death match. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll finish the segment off here. Mox ends up headbutting Kenny, very similar to what he did to Jericho. Kenny ends up getting busted, and Kenny hits him with two really solid V triggers, and we close the show. But now we'll rewind, and then we'll get into our segments here. Exploding barbed wire death match. So the title of this episode has big announcements, and this is what I'm referring to because this is huge.
Oh yeah, that'll be the first televised death match on North American soil, I think.
Uh I don't know if we can say that specifically.
From what I
Um
not how about on a big promotion?
for a big promotion, yes, cuz like CZW and shit like they've done it. There's death matches that happen all the time on the indies that are, aired via pay-per-view on Fight and stuff, but
Or
never
locally and
by
stuff.
a major, from my knowledge, promotion on North American soil.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
Um, but this is huge. This is
very big, very big.
and I called you right afterwards to discuss this with you, and we have decided that we will be having an exploding barbed wire swing set death match at one point, the two of us. Uh, figured I'd bring that up.
Yeah, that'll happen eventually.
One day. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll
When we
announce it.
decide to kill ourselves.
Yeah, pretty well. But this is going to be insane. Um, uh, Renee Paquette, John Moxley's wife, was not too impressed on Twitter afterwards.
I don't think somebody told the wife.
Would you?
No.
She made a comment and she's like, if my water breaks, it's because of you guys.
How far along is she?
I don't know. I have no clue. Um,
It was a while ago, so.
but yeah, I just it'll be interesting. But
It'll be something else for sure.
we'll move forward here, and we'll give our ratings for this week. Impact Wrestling. What did you give out of 5?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was a solid show. Like, it wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't a great show.
I gave it a 2.75 for the same reason. And I'll get into it as well with one of our segments here in just a few minutes. But coming off of a pay-per-view, they did it with Hard to Kill as well. They don't run off of the momentum of it, I find.
No.
It just
seems
felt
like
like
next week's show will.
another yeah, it just felt like another Impact. It was kind of there.
Yeah.
And I was like coming off of a really decent pay-per-view in No Surrender. There wasn't much of anything that I was like, "Oh yeah." Like there was moments,
Yeah.
but I would never tout it as a great post pay-per-view card.
No, exactly. Like, it wasn't one of those ones where you just are in awe of every segment.
Yeah. Dynamite. Out of 5. Out of 5.
I gave it a 3.25.
Really?
Yeah. It was a good show, but besides the announcements and stuff, like, it just kind of felt like the same sort of Dynamites. Like, they were good matches. It didn't felt like anything repeated, but, like, it just kind of felt like just another Dynamite.
I gave it a 4.25.
That's fair.
Top to bottom, I found it really good. I mean, the opening, we set up another match for Revolution, which goes along with something we've been building. We had the women's match was fucking phenomenal. Sting getting physical, the tag title match. Like,
No, it was definitely a good Dynamite, but there were some points where I was just like, I don't know if it hits the same par that it can.
yeah, that's fair.
I've been more in awe of other Dynamites, you know?
And then NXT.
I gave it a 3.5. I really enjoyed the NXT, but it wasn't like an in awe of as well.
So I gave it a 3. Very much so. For that same factor of impact, you're coming off of an awesome pay-per-view, and you didn't give us much. There was bits. We are continuing to have next to nothing for the women's title. Like it especially with the competitors you have going for the women's title, it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, that's very fair.
We had
There
a
was
repeat
probably
match where they completely took all the attention off of the match.
yeah.
Um
Yeah, there were just some things about this NXT that I thought just worked a little bit better than the Dynamite. And that's why I just ranked it a little bit higher.
maybe go and watch them back again.
I I mean, I watched them back to back, so
I did too. Uh yeah, well, with our Twitter polls here, Impact Wrestling got a 77.3 on it being a great show. 13.6 on it being a waste of time, and 9.1 sitting on the fence.
right.
NXT, we didn't have many votes on, but it was 100% on it being a great show. And then Dynamite was quite a bit more votes than NXT. We had 91.7% on a great show, 8.3 on a waste of time, and nobody sitting on the fence.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with those. Like they're like when I mark NXT as higher than Dynamite, I liked Dynamite more than NXT story-wise, but there were like I feel like some of the matches on NXT were just a little bit better.
so my only thing, which is why I gave it a really, really low there, in comparison, is because, like I said, AEW's had, they're not coming off of anything and they put
Yeah,
on a stellar show. NXT is coming off of an
that's fair.
absolutely phenomenal pay-per-view, and I could have cared less about it.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Like I just I if you're booking these shows, don't bother booking them the week, like that the following week after a pay-per-view, or don't bother booking your pay-per-view good, because it makes you look like a joke on your following show. Because
Yeah,
Impact did
for
the
sure.
same thing. I'm not just targeting NXT. Impact did it too.
Yeah, no, for
Um
sure. And yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think I was just able to pick out a few more things that worked a bit better for me on NXT.
so but we'll move on to our match of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
uh Impact.
TJP and Josh Alexander.
Yeah, like, I don't think anything came close. um
No.
because I mean,
Like there were good matches on the card, but they
like
put the best one first.
the main event was predictable.
Yeah.
I if you would have thought it was going any other way than it did, then what are you even watching at this point? Um,
Yeah, exactly.
the fatal four way that Trey Miguel won, like you said, it was literally just to give him his win, and it pissed me off that it was there. Um, I don't even know where the Hernandez Myers Cardona shit's going. The only other match that I thought was anywhere close, and I'm still annoyed with bits, was the Reno Scum versus Finjuice. And
Yeah, and my big thing that I was annoyed with there was that a team that is supposed to be this great team from Japan struggled to beat a team that we've not seen.
exactly. That was my issue with it. So, but TJP and Josh Alexander take it without any question there.
Yeah, for sure.
Dynamite.
The tag title match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to split it up into two. Here I gave it to the tag title match as well because it was phenomenal, but I also gave it to the women's match, Rio and Serena Deeb.
Okay.
I For them barely giving women TV time and shit like that, and really not having much to show for their women's division since the pandemic and stuff like that. This match, I went into it and I was excited because it was two fantastic performers. And if we wouldn't have had the Bucks against Santana and Ortiz on that card, I don't think anything stood close to Riho and Serena Deeb.
Yeah,
They tore the fucking house down. They did
for sure.
fantastic. Um, and then NXT.
Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus The Way.
Okay, I need an explanation here.
So I really think that they have some good chemistry, and the match, while it was a repeat, I want to know where they're going with The Way and Loomis, and I was a bit annoyed with the fact that we didn't see Loomis here, which, well, I'll get into later. But this match, while it felt like a rehash, it just felt really good. Like, I'm not
But there was
saying that.
barely any focus on it, is my thing.
No, for sure, but what was there, I liked. And I'm not saying the main event was bad. I'm just saying I was able to enjoy this match that I shouldn't have because it was a rehash.
So I gave it to the main event.
For sure.
Um, I mean, the 6 competitors in it, the story building by the end of it, it all just worked really well, um, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's building towards some really strong stories
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
down the line.
Yeah, and
Um,
in no way am I saying that was definitely, like, technical match of the night, but in my opinion, the match that's gonna make more story for me, I'm really intrigued in the Loomis story, and I'm interested into where that's going.
okay, segment of the night's next. Looking through my shit here. Impact.
I give it to Storm and Saban doing their thing.
Same. Same. I from even from the start with Rohit, before we even knew Storm and Saban were involved, I was enjoying it. And then it's probably the only Swingers Palace segment I've enjoyed as of yet watching Impact.
Like, unironically.
So I gave it to Storm and Saban as well.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Uh, okay. Sting getting physical.
Yeah, so I doubled up here too. I give it to Sting taking the power bomb because it's been something I've been just very vocal about the last few weeks about, like, we're
Absolutely.
getting the same thing where Sting getting physical, shit like that. But I also gave it to the Hangman and Dark Order stuff
Okay.
because they're just pulling at my heartstrings at this point. Watching
We're
all
gonna
the BTE stuff and that. What was that?
we're gonna do it, but just wait.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then NXT.
Uh, the segment I gave it to the trophy presentation
Same. Same.
because there was just nothing better than watching MSK mark out as fans
And
while
yeah,
this.
MSK doing their bit. Even the women.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like, I'm not taking away from the women there, but MSK just stood out so amazingly there.
well, the thing is, what I really liked about it was the fact that we know what we're gonna get out of MSK and the tag champs. Like, we really didn't need them face to face. We got what we needed, which was the build up for those women.
Yeah,
Um,
and MSK did a great thing just stepping back and letting them do their thing.
and
Like,
still having their bit there with the popcorn, and that was great because it made
yeah,
us remember that they were part of the segment, but they didn't need to be the focus. Yeah, they're a great
exactly.
team. They went undefeated in the tournament. They're getting the tag shot. Like, we are well aware of all of this stuff. Now let what not saying the women need the build up, but we don't have the tag champs on NXT.
And
So
hopefully the next few weeks we will.
yeah, I definitely believe they should be there next week and
Considering
have a
they only have
match.
one challenger
Yeah.
ever.
So
I remember when tag titles used to have like lines of competitors and stuff, and
fuck. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who would be next in line for the tag titles after Dakota and Raquel.
Is there anybody?
Asuka and Charlotte, I guess.
Moving on. Fuck, I don't
Yeah,
want to
pretty
talk about
much.
that. Performer of the night for Impact.
Tommy Dreamer.
Jesus Christ. Tommy again for you.
Pardon?
I said Tommy again for you, eh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
He just got his ass kicked and he's 50 damn years old. He doesn't need to do it.
Uh I gave mine to Finjuice. Having not watched any of their New Japan stuff, uh, even though, like I said, with how the match went, it makes me want to go and find some of the New Japan stuff because
Yeah.
they were great in the ring. Um, which I mean, I've watched specifically Juice Robinson's stuff from New Japan. I've watched some of his stuff. I've never seen anything from David Finlay, but being part of that legendary Finlay family, like, obviously he had to be good. Um,
Yeah.
but them together was just great. Just great. Dynamite performer.
I gave it to Riho and Serena Deeb.
I gave it to Riho specifically, not to take away from Deeb, but 48 weeks not being in an AEW ring. Obviously, she was still performing with Stardom and stuff, but f- just coming back, and it felt like, you know, there wasn't that 48-week gap. She was there again. It was great seeing her.
Yeah,
Um, I was very, very happy to see Riho back, and it's gonna be awesome to see where we go forward with that women's tournament.
yeah.
And NXT.
The six-man tag competitors, because while I enjoyed the women's tag match more, obviously the six-man tag was better.
Yeah, so I gave it specifically to Kyle O'Reilly. Um
Fair.
because through the night, I mean the opening segment was great, and I hate it when we have something serious like what happened Sunday, and then he got interrupted almost, and the person he wanted wasn't coming out, it was other people. And I loved how even with the music playing, he just openly on the mic was like, you're not who I asked for. Like, what
Yeah,
the hell is going on? And then come the main event, uh being very specific with like not wanting to tag Roderick in, and then um yeah, just taking that bump at the end and selling it right to the end, like irregardless of what happened after the cameras went off. A lot of those guys would take that bump and still somehow be involved in the finish, and
yeah,
he just laid there and sold it. Um, so literally from the opening moments of the show to the closing moments, I was utterly impressed with Kyle O'Reilly.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so And then, as I say every time, one of my favorite segments of the show, Worst of the Night, because I get to bitch. One of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, mine's
Impact.
going to the Fatal Four Way for Impact.
Really.
It was it was literally just to give Trey his win back, and it's annoying that that is a thing that they think they needed to do.
So I have two specific, and when I say specific because it's very, very specific issues with the show that are getting my worst of the night. This first one kind of doubles up, but it's together. The fact that we got the X Division title match literally right after the pay-per-view, and
Yeah,
the fact that it opened the show.
yeah,
I'm beyond annoyed. And secondly, I've already stated my annoyance where we just came off of a pay-per-view. Why did it feel like it was just a throw in there? Where when companies, it's very much WWE about 2 weeks after Mania till SummerSlam usually, or that just after SummerSlam till Royal Rumble. Where there's that chunk of time where things kind of happen. A lot of the time they're just throwing in shows and you don't care a lot of the time.
yep,
That's what this felt like, and they just came off of a really strong pay-per-view. So I don't understand the booking of it. Um I don't know. I'm getting quite annoyed with how that's going. Oh, excuse me. um how that keeps happening, because it happened right after Hard to Kill too. Like, there's no
yeah,
reason you can't book that first show even a bit stronger.
yeah,
Like, it doesn't have to be on the same caliber as the pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be this mega show, but make me feel like we just came off of a pay-per-view.
yeah.
Just, I don't know.
No, exactly. It's very, very true.
Dynamite.
So I gave it to the FTR match specifically for very much the same reason that like I was annoyed with the Reno Scum match. They were they looked kind of weak in against a team that is not ranked in the AEW tag title rankings. So as much as like it was a good match, I just think if we're trying to build FTR as a strong team to face off with Jurassic Express, they needed to look a little stronger against Matt and Mike, but me just being a little nitpicky.
The only thing that I will give there where it's kind of this will come off a bit hypocritical because I very much so dislike the Reno Scum thing. The only reason I'll give it a little bit of credit for it is because of Matt Seidel, knowing the competitor he is. No, we were not privy to his brother or how they would operate as a team. I think the only way they slightly get away with it, I think it should have been a tad bit more one-sided. Um, but I don't think it needed to be super like where the Finn Juice Reno Scum match shouldn't have had much of any offense from Reno Scum, not to be an ass.
Exactly.
But
No, yeah.
like for people like we've been watching since the start of January, and I know I had no clue who they were.
No, yeah.
Where with the Seidels, I at least knew Matt.
Yeah,
And
that's just it. Like,
so
I
it
get it. We knew Matt, but other than that,
so
it
but
was, yeah.
but yeah, but like I mean, you know his ability, and so you figure if
Exactly.
his brother's anywhere close, so a fair bit of offense was fine. I do think they had a little too much for what they are building FTR. Like I'm not arguing that. I just
Exactly.
think their offense in the match is a bit more forgivable than the Finn Juice Reno Scum, in my
For sure,
opinion.
yeah. It was just, I think because we're trying to make FTR this massive heel faction, basically, it just made them look a little weak. Not basically, they didn't study tape of Mike.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
what
want
it
it,
very much came across as. Yeah.
yeah, and so that basically, like, basically makes me think that like FTR isn't taking their challengers seriously.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. Um Mine is basically I think it's the same as last week's. Much so not directed towards any specific thing on the Dynamite, but an overall issue as a whole. Um More of the women's tournament taking place on YouTube, um and not getting TV time. I don't understand why we can't carve out for even two matches. Sure, leave the Japanese stuff on so people don't get confused, stuff like that. I can understand not
Well,
wanting.
and especially with only Excalibur calling it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, JR and Shivani, aren't gonna really know a whole lot. They'll study up on who's winning that side of the bracket to be able to do the commentary on it. But
Yeah.
sure. I'm still annoyed that we're not getting any on Dynamite, but now we're even pushing the US side.
Well, yeah, now
That
we have Tay
that is
Conti versus I don't even know who.
uh
And then Anna Jay versus Britt Baker.
take on she's fighting Nyla Rose.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Um but we can't even carve out the time for that on Dynamite. Like
So wait,
seriously.
are we trying? Yeah, basically that's like Dynamite saying or AEW saying Nyla Rose and Britt Baker aren't TV draws. I can get why they're saying Anna Jay and Ty Conti aren't because they haven't really done much comparative to Nyla and Britt.
Like I didn't have a big issue. I was annoyed, but I didn't have a
Yes.
huge issue with like the women's tag tournament because they were going for medals at the end. And speaking of the women's tag tournament, where the fuck are Ivelisse and Diamante? Just stating. Um
Probably in Mexico.
like haven't seen them in a long time. But
Watch them just be on dark the whole time.
like they weren't going for an overall thing. This match is literally this tournament is literally to challenge the women's champion. She has
Yeah.
held this title for how long? She's beat everybody who's come her way. And we're throwing the matches on fucking YouTube?
So I hope it's only for the first round.
I'm
Do you think that in the second round the Japanese side will be on Dynamite?
no, because it's gonna be this Monday on YouTube. The second round has already been announced that it'll be Monday on YouTube.
So they're gonna do.
They're gonna
The
do
two matches,
the two US side and the two Japanese side.
and then the other two round two, because I was meaning like the round two matches, as in like the Aja Kong versus whoever.
Yeah, that's what's airing Monday. Yeah,
But
because there's four matches on each side, and all four Japanese matches were already uh done up. And so we have the semifinals already on the Japanese side for round 2 that will be airing Monday, and then the last two round 1 on the US. Four matches total will be on Monday on YouTube.
okay. See, I thought that there was two matches still to go in the first round of the Japanese side.
No, they did all four matches on
Okay,
Monday. Um
that's odd.
but I'm getting
What are
really
the odds that
angry.
it's Tay Conti versus not Anna Jay?
So I was looking at that and I thought that'd be really neat, but
It
then we're
would
just
be.
going to fucking throw it on YouTube anyways, right? So um
I,
but I'm just
I
like
don't know.
I'm like I'll point out I know it was just a small bit here. Um but like one thing I can point out that could have cut time and then we could have made up for time on something else to put even another women's match in. Did we really need Kenny sitting and reading the Young Bucks book to the children? Does that add anything to anything other than out of the Bucks book he got something about himself? Did we need it? No, we didn't.
I mean, we didn't need it, but it was great.
But if it's that or potentially having another women's match on the card, I would take the women's match just about any day of the week.
I see your point there.
Um, because the thing is, at this point, I'm no longer believing AEW when they're saying like, whenever they say like, we're gonna get more women on the card or we're trying to do it or this and that. I'm no longer believing it because they've been saying it now for over a year of Dynamite. And we still aren't seeing it. I understand we had an issue with the pandemic. You had next to none of the roster, but now you do. Now you do have more of that roster.
But I don't think they have the portions of the roster they really wanted for what this tournament might have been. Because I feel like Anna Jay and Ty Conti wouldn't be in this at all if they had their full roster.
I could see Anna Jay. Ty Conti, maybe not. Anna Jay,
I could
yes, though, because
also,
she's been a staple for a
sure,
while.
maybe if they expanded it to be a round further as well. So there was one more round, then sure. But I still think there would be at least one or two other people over Anna.
It still doesn't excuse for them just not making TV time, is
No,
my
it's
thing.
very no. I get that
It's
very
it's
much.
it's been
Like,
over a year, and it's been said since the first month of Dynamite. Like,
for
why
sure.
are we only getting 5 minutes of women on the 2 hour show? We're working on it. You'll see more. We're working on it. But are you? Sure, we had a fantastic showing from Rio and Serena Deeb. I don't want to take away from them. They got lots of TV time. They did great. But this is the first time in ages that I can actually point out and be like, sure. And it was still only one match. It
No,
just
I get that. I do. I think there was other portions that worked, or that like in play here that just we can't quite see as to why they're doing it the way they're doing it.
well, I don't know. I no longer believe them when they say they're working on it.
No, I
And
get that.
the thing is I will be up in arms completely. Because the thing is even with the way they showed the bracket, I'm still not sure whether or not the title match is at Revolution or the finals is at Revolution. Still not aware of that. But I'll
From what
say
I actually just saw, it is gonna be the here. I'll pull up the image here because I just read what it said. The the winner will face AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida at Revolution.
does it say at Revolution?
Well, it says that title, and then right underneath it is the Revolution logo.
See, but that's the thing, because they put that right under the finals, and we have not been told anything about the finals yet.
Well, but so what it has is like, yeah, I don't even know. Like, from what I understand it, the title match will be at Revolution.
Yeah. But well, I will have zero forgiveness for AEW if they put the finals on YouTube. If they do something like that, I I will be beyond pissed,
That's
because
fair.
there's
That's
no
fair.
excuse then. There really isn't.
No, that is fair. Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. Worst of the night for NXT.
Okay. So this is where my kind of match and worst of the night kind of meld together. The portion of my match of the night that I was annoyed with was that when Austin Theory got revealed, Loomis just didn't care. Like, he just didn't do anything, didn't show up, didn't care that his abducted person has now been re-abducted back to his family. Like, it's just, why was Loomis not caring at all of his plan being ruined? So I loved the match, and even if it was a side portion for the main story, the match wasn't bad, but we just didn't get any extra build off of it.
Yeah, so I gave mine not specifically to the match itself, but the segment as a whole. There was no reason to put those four women into a match to have it be a side thought and have a shitty finish.
No, that is fair. I
Especially
really
with,
enjoyed what they did.
I didn't feel like it was anything new that we didn't see a week ago.
Fair.
As well. I just we just had the match. It wasn't like it was 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. We just had the match, and even the commentators, it wasn't about the
No,
match. None of
that's
it was
very
about the
true.
match. So why put those four women in that spot when you don't care about the match? You really, the point was never to care about the match.
Yeah,
The finish of the match was a fucking joke, when we
yeah,
could have just made a
very
whole
true.
segment, not worried about the match, not put the four women in that situation, and we could have taken that, had a full segment of them finding Austin Theory, and then including Dexter Loomis in it.
Yeah,
But we put it with a match. The match was a side thought.
that is fair.
Um,
I don't know, when I think of how the match actually went, it felt like it was a continuation of where they were at the last week. Like, they didn't do anything new, but at the same time, there were answers to things that happened that, like, so the way reversed moves that last time they didn't and stuff like that. There was just some nice storytelling inside the match that I just psychologically really enjoyed.
well, it's just the other issues directly with the match that I had is, like I
Yes.
said, it was a week ago. We had a fantastic showing. They got a lot of time last week. It was great. We get it a week later, and sure, psychology wise, like you said, they reverse moves they didn't last week, stuff like that. That's cool. But why put that in that position if it's something storytelling and psychological like that? Why not give it a segment of its own
That's
where
very true.
it can matter? Because
Yeah,
honestly, at this point, that match doesn't matter to anything. The
that's very
outcome
true.
of that segment was Austin Theory was found. Nobody's ever going to look at that match again to give a shit, because that wasn't the point of it.
No, that's
That's where
fair.
my issue was. You put those four women in a situation where they're all great competitors. Their match last
Yeah,
week was fantastic. I wouldn't have cared if we had the same match this week that we had last week, and they did fantastic. My biggest issue with it was nobody gave a shit about the match,
that's very
because
true.
it's not what that segment was based for. If we would have taken all the Van stuff, the Gargano, taken all that out, that match probably would have gotten my match of the night myself. But it's the
Yeah,
fact that nobody nobody obviously cared.
That's very true.
not
I think
not
I
saying
was
nobody. Like obviously
yeah.
you cared enough to watch the match, but if you put it on paper, who the fuck cared about the match when the storytelling wasn't in the match?
No, that's very true. I just liked the storytelling that like Ember and Shotzi were able to do with Indy and Candace. Like
Yeah,
they
in the
what
match,
they
sure.
yeah, what we were shown was really good. And I think that's why I gave it to my match of the night, because it was like I I want to see more of these teams go at it, basically.
My other biggest issue with it was we were doing hard cuts away from the match, which took the
Yeah.
focus fully off
Yes.
the match. If we would
If it
have
just
done
did a
like
picture in
like
picture,
a oh shit, this is happening backstage, but here's the match still, sure. But it's the fact that they were dead ass like forget the match is happening. Like that's where I'm getting at the nobody
for
cared.
sure.
Was they were
Yes.
like, forget the fucking match is happening. This is what's happening. I'm like, we've got a
Yeah.
match.
Yeah,
Why the
that's very
fuck do
fair.
I care that Gargano's at the van? We've got a match.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where my issue was. Like I'm saying, I'm not taking away from the actual physical match.
Yeah.
It's just the way the segment from start to finish happened was like, why did we even bother with a match? You could have taken the time we used in the match and actually done something, had Loomis involved, made me really care about what happened, but instead, here's Austin Theory. He's zip tied in his underpants. Shitty finish. And nothing more. And the worst part is the
Yeah.
finish of the match. The ones who won the match, nobody even fucking cared that Ember and Shotzi won.
That's very
It was
true.
the fact that Austin Theory was found. Like, how shitty is that on Ember and Shotzi?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it did feel
Oh,
weird,
I feel
but
like
yeah.
Hunter had his head shoved up Vince's ass on this episode.
Maybe Vince was in charge. Maybe they're
No.
testing out that. Maybe Vince and Hunter are going to switch roles. Vince will take care of NXT and Hunter will take care of the main roster.
Um,
See, I could see you for a second go, well, that doesn't sound horrible as long as Vince or Triple H can just take whoever he wants from NXT.
that's my only thing. I'm like, so Balor loses the title next week to Goldberg.
Yep.
And
Reigns just leaves the Universal title in the ring this Friday.
like I wouldn't mind Hunter taking over Raw and SmackDown, but don't do this to my NXT. Okay, so take like 90% of the NXT roster, bring them up onto the main roster, and take the bits and pieces of the main roster that really don't matter, shove them on NXT. We'll stop reviewing NXT, and
We'll call it the Vince Show, and we'll do a quick review. And tonight on the
30
Vince Show, yep,
seconds.
this happened.
30 seconds is what we will give to it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well,
You would watch NXT go from one of the most watched shows to the least watched show.
100%. So we'll finish this off here. It's been a lengthy podcast today. Obviously with it being post pay-per-view stuff, even though it didn't feel
Yes.
like it most of the time. Predictions going forward, we have SmackDown, which we will obviously cover, and in that episode we will cover the preview for the Elimination Chamber this Sunday. But any predictions solidly for SmackDown? Anything big? Anything crazy? I honestly don't know at this point, and I'm starting to not care.
That's my issue. Like, my brain's just like, Braun Strowman will show up because he's not on
Fuck
Raw anymore.
hell.
Like,
Oh my god, no! No! I just I don't have anything that I can be like, yeah, this. Like obviously we're gonna get a little more for the chamber, but we already know who's all in the chamber.
are we really only getting 2 chamber matches?
Does Sasha have an opponent yet? I bet you we get Sasha and Carmella again. Cause
With
you know,
Reginald as the special guest referee.
oh fuck off. Handicap match.
God, winner takes the title.
Reginald and Carmella against Sasha Banks And if
Whoever gets the pin gets the title.
yeah. Oh. I don't like
You can
I
tell
don't
how
like
excited
that
I am.
idea. Who are the tag champs? Rude and Ziggler. Rude and Ziggler won it in the chamber so much last week that we get the tag title chamber announced. There.
I don't think WWE is going to book more than 2 chamber matches.
Just hey, at least I'm contributing to the prediction
How about
segment.
this? I'll stack on your prediction there. They'll bump it to the pre-show.
The chamber match?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you everybody for tuning. I want nothing more to do with this until after SmackDown and see what they do.
Could you imagine this week or this Sunday on the pre-show for the Elimination Chamber? It's the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line inside an Elimination Chamber.
You know what? Sure,
WWE will
I'll
do
do
it.
that prediction too. They'll announce the pre-show chamber match in the chamber. Yep. Sure. Because I'm
That's how
that
much
fucking
faith I
angry.
have in WWE.
That's how fucking angry I am. Well,
Yeah.
you got anything else to add to this episode? We've been blabbing on for almost just under 4 hours. So
Yeah, nothing really. Just make sure that to give us a follow on Twitter at Walking the Ropes there, because we try to keep up with any news and information that we can find on Twitter and anywhere else. And so if you guys tweet us, that'll help us out there, because we'll be able to have more people sending us news information every week.
yep.
So yeah, just make sure you do that.
So along with that, you can obviously find our Twitter through our link tree, or it's just at Walking the Ropes. And speaking of our link tree, you can find the links for everything Walking the Ropes through there. That includes ways to support us, our social medias, and every podcast platform that we are available on. If something's not listed there, check your podcasting platform, check for Walking the Ropes with Blake and Kaleb, and if it's not there, tweet us, let us know, and we will do everything in our power to get the podcast on that platform. But as
Like,
of
unless
right
we have to
now,
sign contracts or something, I don't think there's anything that's going to be holding us back from getting on podcasts.
as of right now, we're available like Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, um
Anchor.
iHeartRadio just recently, Anchor, Breaker, like so many,
Beaker, speaker.
everything and anything in between. You can, if you have a Google Home or Amazon Echo smart device, you can ask them to play Walking the Ropes with Blake and Kaleb, and they will give you the most recent episode. Like, we are available everywhere that we can be, that we know of. So
If you find another place for us to be, let us know. We'll be there.
like our VODs are available on YouTube shortly after we're done being live, along around the same time as the audio podcasts become available. So there's always a way to listen to us. But with that being said, we'll be back for our SmackDown review and Elimination Chamber preview show. But until then, thank you everybody for listening, tuning in, and all that good stuff. And we will see you for the next show.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Take care.